Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Alex had some car issues coming in this morning. So
Some car issues.
She's hoping she blew out a tire.
Oh, she's probably running on those baloney tires. I'm on record now. I think, what did I say? By game 6, he'll be in.
First, there was a couple, then it was a few, then it was a handful,
Right.
then
Then
it was
there
a
was-
half dozen,
then there was
several,
A handful can be up to 5. Several is 3.
then it was a dozen, then it was a baker's dozen.
Five.
I felt bad about my picks.
So
Like, because I forget who I picked.
started taking calls like in the middle of the good list, and emails.
There's a shot.
Well, Hardy would get mad, and then he would kind of yell back at you.
Yeah, we'd
and,
clap back. It was great.
Right. And then he'd be like kind of angry Hardy, and you'd have to deal
Matt will
with
go. Okay.
Shoot, I just lost my. Hold on. Hold, please.
it. Please.
Cincinnati is at Kansas
No,
City.
you
that-
can't do
that's
that.
pretty
We
dead.
have,
Your job,
we have to
Paul.
do it in
Stay
order.
your lane.
There you go.
So there you go.
So let it be written.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
It is Tuesday here at Gillette Stadium, and we're mourning the loss. 1-1 now after one. They let one get away. That was too bad. They let one get away against the Seahawks, but
I agree.
we have a chance for redemption early Thursday night in New Jersey against the Jets. Can get back to above 500. So it's Evan, it's Paul, it's me, it's Deuce, it's Matt in the booth, and we'll be here for the next 2 hours talking Patriots and everything else. It was a wild and wacky week in the NFL. Lots of upsets right up to last night.
And I didn't pick any of them.
Yeah, no,
Terrible.
yeah,
week for
we'll
me.
get to that tomorrow because
You've
we're
been
gonna-
off your game.
Yeah. We'll have to do picks early this week because of the Patriots traveling on Thursday, and we won't have a show on Thursday, but we will have the pregame show. But guys, any opening thoughts on the game? I know we had the postgame show, but Evan wasn't there.
That's why I like to let
Yeah.
Evan lead us off
You know,
on
so
Tuesdays.
Any
That's
opening
true.
thoughts now that we've listened to Jerod a couple times after the game and players, and what are we thinking?
Well, I watched the film. That's also very important,
Yeah.
right? You got to come in, watch the film, see what
Thanks, Greg.
happened. I would start with the defensive side of the ball. As much as we all want to harp on the passing game and the offense, let's face it, we didn't really expect them to be a great passing team to begin with. I would also point out that league-wide passing is down. So when you have a team
Touchdowns are way down.
when you have a team like the Patriots,
Did you know that, Paul?
Touchdown passes.
Yeah, way down.
passing yards are right around 190 a game.
Yeah.
Right now for teams. I mean, last night Kirk Cousins added some numbers at the end there, but I looked up and both quarterbacks had thrown for like 170 yards in the game, like late into the fourth quarter. Anyways, when you have a team that doesn't pass the ball well, like the Patriots, in a league that's trending downward with passing yards, it's not that much of a surprise. To me, the bigger issue was defensively, they got a little too cute, I thought, in some big spots that really cost them. And I'm still trying to figure out what their identity is on defense under this new regime, because it's not the same exact defense they were running with Bill. And I don't know what's their third and gotta have it coverage. What's their bread and butter right now on the defensive side of the ball? It's a bit of a mystery. I mean, I know Duggar said he checked into it, but you go 0 blitz on 2nd and 5 from the 50, and you give up a 56-yard touchdown to DK Metcalf on a coverage bust. Those types of things, a little too cute in some of those big spots. But in general, I think the biggest thing with the defense right now is when the Patriots with Bill, it would be man, right? They'd play some sort of man coverage on 3rd and 8 in the game or something like that, and they would do their thing. Now I'm not really sure. They've been playing a lot of zone. They've been mixing it up, so we'll see.
Some of the numbers I couldn't watch the film, Paul. Unfortunately, the Next Gen site was down for me, so I'm flying a bit blind here. I'm just gonna have to rely on what
I'll fill in the blanks. I saw the game on Sunday. I was there.
I see. I don't have your power of retention. Like, I watch it
So
once, it goes by
snarky.
in a flash. But I will say I looked. I did dig into some of the numbers though, and
Yeah.
some of the thing that was interesting to me was, and like you said it, always felt like zone first, second down, man third. More zone coverage in third down now.
Yeah.
It seems like that to me was the most significant rise that. And now I don't know if this is related to playing more cover 2, or if that has to do with staying back, but just more zone third down.
Yeah, I would say the two biggest things that they're playing cover 2 at a much, much higher rate.
Well, let me ask you a question. What did they do against the Bengals? Same thing?
Same thing, even more cover 2.
Okay, so is it just the fact that maybe, hey, it worked week 1, let's try it in week 2, but, oh, wait a minute, week 2, there are a lot better receivers.
Yeah,
You know?
it's definitely possible, and these are all small sample size alerts, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're 2 weeks into the season. I'd say it probably takes 4 or 5 weeks for some of these stats to really solidify themselves. But they've played a ton of cover 2, and they've played a ton of zone. And that's okay, like, if you want to be that way, but zone teams and the Patriots being one of them in the first couple weeks, they do a lot of disguising and a lot of rotations post-snap. I thought this week 1, we come in here giving them all their flowers for how well it worked against Burrow. In week 2, it felt like Geno Smith and Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator in Seattle, were one step ahead of a lot of those things. Like, you have Keon White dropping 20 yards down the field into coverage on Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's not a matchup the Patriots want. So there was a little bit too much of that this week, I felt like.
Okay.
Can I ask this? In terms of, you mentioned that Seattle, Geno Smith and Grubb might have been a little bit ahead of them.
Yeah.
Do you think that their willingness to spend so much time without huddling affected maybe some of the creativity that Covington could dial up?
It's possible. I hadn't really considered that very much. What I saw
Again, if you go to the game and
yeah,
watch it,
right.
No, that was snarky too.
What I saw a lot of was motioning, like pre-snap shifting to get coverage indicators. So they would like bring JSN from left to right, and then for whatever reason, the Patriots would tip their hand a little bit pre-snap, and Geno's a veteran quarterback that's been around the block. He's seen a lot. He got them into some plays that really busted the coverages for the Patriots. But I would say the main thing to me was that all those disguises and all the different rotations that they were doing in week 1 that we sung their praises for, this week it led to some breakdowns in the back end.
So that's what I was, and I always say, like, I've never coached, any level of football really, so let alone what they're doing. Just from afar, it looked like they were figuring out ways to do what Evan just said, like making them declare what their coverage was. And I think it wasn't necessarily like to keep the personnel on the field, because they subbed a lot, Seattle, even though they were going they weren't doing hurry up.
Right.
They were doing no huddle.
Right.
And I think the idea was, and I didn't hear a lot out of their locker room, so I don't know if they talked about this post game, but we're going to get to the line, we're going to line up, and we're going to make them tell us if they're in zone or man. Yeah. And then once we figure it out, then we're going to go. But it wasn't, they didn't do a tremendous amount of like pedal to the metal, hurry up offense. They were, at one point, Evan even said, he goes, wow, it's like a college game. Like they're all looking to the sideline, getting the call from the line. But I think there is an advantage to being out of the huddle in a line, aligned. That way, if the other team's not ready.
It puts pressure on the defense. I mean, the defense by rule has a chance to answer any sub. So if the offense subs, then the defense has to be given a chance to sub. But, like you said, even though it's not hurry up, no huddle, puts pressure on the defense to make those decisions.
Well, I just think it allowed Geno Smith to know what the coverages were. Yeah. And to Mike and Evan's point, I think the Patriots have really made their living being able to be multiple and varying their looks. And I think that Geno was able to know on most plays what they were in.
I think on both sides of the ball, you saw examples of the opposing team turning the screws a little bit on new coordinators and, making it hard for DeMarcus Covington, allowing them to get to the line. DeMarcus isn't able to kind of see the personnel, take his time, figure out what they want to roll. I just think that's where they won those moments in the coaching.
And I just want to say real quick, I want to take the L on this one because I was pretty critical of Geno Smith, and I thought he played great. I know I said it in the post-game show already, but, some people don't listen to both shows. I didn't think that you put it all on his shoulders and he'd be able to do what he did on Sunday. He didn't come close to turning the ball over.
No.
And I thought that he found his matchups all day. He was able to get the ball to his better players, which
Yeah.
is not something that you can always do against the Patriots. So
Yeah.
I'll take the L on
only
that.
close
I didn't envision
The
that.
only close one wasn't his fault. His arm got
when
hit.
he got hit,
And
yeah.
then Peppers couldn't come up with it.
Another coverage bust that should have been a walk-in touchdown
Yeah.
for
I
Metcalf.
saw it in the
Yeah.
press box.
Yeah.
We were yelling for it in the press box.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Who's
I mean,
going?
it just
but that happened despite
too
all
much.
that, despite the defensive breakdowns, they had a chance. At the end, had they not, gone for the, what was it, third and I forget what it was. If they had just run the ball and taken the 3, this might have been a whole different game and might have ended up a win in the win column.
Well, if they made the 3.
Yeah,
they
of course,
missed
if
it.
they made it.
Yeah.
They missed it because they got sacked 7 yards back.
And they missed it because they allowed a guy to run untouched from the
Well,
side, and he blocked it.
Butterfly effect. That might have
Well,
not.
I had someone within the organization say that could have been a 10-yard field goal and it would have been blocked.
And that play, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why it kind of bumps me. Like
Because they didn't block.
I've heard it a couple times saying, and Fred said it. Like they let one get away. I don't really feel like they let one get away with this.
I
one.
look at it
I think
both
they
ways.
fought down
I
to
think
the
they
end.
did. I agree with Fred. I think they let it get away. However, I think the team that was better that day won. Does that make any sense? I think the Patriots almost stole one.
Yeah.
They were in position to steal the game.
Okay.
They're on the 25-yard
like
line,
that.
up 3 with, 5
Oh,
minutes
yeah.
left.
I like
you
that.
got to put that
I
game
like
away.
that.
Well, they were.
That's better for me.
I would say that they were better on
some answers.
paper,
I know.
but when you drop the ball 5-6 times, does that make you the better team?
yeah,
Or-
it means you were better. You just didn't execute.
So when you drop the ball, makes you better?
Yeah, they were. I mean, these guys just told you how open these guys were. You were lucky
No,
to
I know,
only
but if
give
you
up
drop the
23.
ball, you drop the ball. That's a lack of execution.
Right.
He would have
That
thrown for
doesn't-
400
you know.
yards.
You're
in
better.
this
You're
game
more
if he
talented than the
caught
other team.
ball.
Yes. You did what you wanted to do more than they did what they wanted
Well,
to do.
I think they wanted to catch the ball,
Did you ever see anybody so maddening as this?
right?
Like,
right. I know
they
that.
wanted
I
to make
just
the field
enjoy
goal
it.
too, Fred, but the other guy blocked it. That's
Right.
that's bad execution.
Exactly.
Right? So
Yeah.
what are we doing?
I
Who
don't
did
know.
what they wanted to do more than the other
Yeah,
team?
yeah,
Seattle. Seattle played the way they wanted to play more than the Patriots did. But the Patriots were in position to steal the game at the end.
Well, I think
and
that-
I do agree with you. They let it slip away.
I
They
think-
had it.
I think on offense, the Patriots played the only way they could play, and they managed to.
So, do you think it's more likely to have a guy break a tackle in the backfield and run 50 yards, or DK Metcalf catch a crossing route when no one's on him and
Well,
he hits him in the 1-4?
Well, listen, they didn't do it. It's just a matter
Exactly.
of not doing it. Listen, I think Seattle's a better team on paper than the Patriots. Right?
They were Sunday.
They are.
I think they're a better team, but the Patriots managed to do what they have to do to keep that game close. And, I give them credit that way. I take away credit for, the lack of execution in key moments that I think allowed the game to slip away.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of truth to that. The big picture is still the same for this team, which
They're
is
limited. They're limited.
right. I mean, one team has 3 receivers that you would take on this team in a heartbeat.
Sure.
And the other team's the Patriots. So it's like every single game, and I feel like this is the same story we've gone into the season with every single year for the past 5 years. They're at a major talent disadvantage on the offensive side of the ball. If you only throw for 150 yards in the NFL, I don't care about the trends about the league and the passing yards and things like that. You're just not going to win very many games doing that.
No, listen, there's no doubt. I mean, you can't argue that they go into the game at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
They go into, and
yeah.
that's the way it's going to be in most weeks. That they're going to go into most weeks at a disadvantage right from the get-go.
Yeah.
So they need to have things be kind of perfect and execute.
Tough way to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they almost did it again, but just didn't have the clutch at the
and
end,
that's
and that
what,
was
that
pretty
part
much
I
it.
do agree with Freddie. I think I would have considered it. Wow, that's an unbelievable win. Like they found a way to just hang around enough, and they stole it at the end. But unfortunately, they didn't win the last 5 minutes. But I felt like, and Fred, you said this to me during the game. Even when the Seahawks ended the first half by kicking a field goal, you said if they come out and score to start the second half, this game is over.
Right.
I think you were right.
Yeah. Right.
I think you were right.
Yeah,
and what
'cause-
ended up happening, they don't execute a 4th down play. They drove the length of the field,
Right.
get stopped on 4th and less than a yard.
Right.
And you're just kind of hanging on
Right.
and hanging on. Now, the Patriots deserve credit for hanging on.
Sure.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the team that played better won the game.
Yeah.
But the Patriots have to be kicking themselves at a lost opportunity, because I do think all they needed to do was go 25 more yards and end that game.
Yeah, see.
Like, the field goal is not.
We're going to argue semantics. I think the better team won the game. I think they didn't necessarily play better, Seattle.
Well, I just look at every number.
And the fact
every
that-
number
and
except
the-
for rushing yards.
No,
is,
and,
like,
and the fact that
grossly in favor
and the
of the
fact
other
that they
team.
didn't play that well made it close.
Okay.
Anyway, I guess in saying that, I'm taking away credit from the Patriots. I know that.
I'm
but-
giving the Patriots credit
Yeah.
for being spunky and hanging in the game.
Sure, and that's what I wanted to say is, this is how they're going to have to be for most of these games. They're
Yeah,
going to
and
have
I-
to be
and I would just say, like,
spunky, and they're going to have
we've
to
all-
figure out ways.
We've all talked about how, what did you say? It's like a really hard way to live.
It's a
right?
narrow path to victory.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what I wrote about in the notes
Sure.
this morning. No secret. Everybody's talking about it. It's not like I'm the only one who thinks this way. But, like, you even look at it and say, like, how narrow the path is for these two games. They played really well, I think, in both games. I think the Patriots, I'm talking about, played really well.
as they can.
Just to show you, like, they have to do that really just to stay in the game.
I understand.
Because one of these weeks, the Ramondre Stevenson fumble's not going to get recovered by the Patriots.
Here.
Or
You know,
Brissett's going to turn it over, getting
One of
hit in
these
the
weeks,
pocket.
Brissett's not going to avoid the 7 sacks he probably should have taken
Right.
Yeah.
the other day, and one or two
Or
of
not
those,
get up from one
right,
of them.
and one or two of those is going to result in a strip sack.
Yeah. No,
you know,
I hear you.
So
we got to figure something
not
out here.
only the narrow path, but they're basically flawless.
Yeah.
You know, like, and when I say flawless, I don't mean there's like zero errors.
No, I
you,
know.
you missed a field goal. You allowed a field goal to get blocked.
Yeah.
You botched the clock at the end of the first half.
Well, and it's not
You know.
flawless when your quarterback's
Right.
constantly under siege.
Just like they weren't flawless in
Yeah.
Cincinnati. But basically, that's about as well as they're going to be able to play.
Right. And
And you still have a chance. I mean, you're 1-1. They probably should be 1-1.
yeah.
Let's
but
face
we
it.
need. So we need to move to the offensive side of the ball, and we need to really break down things because it's week 2, and we're already hearing from Pop Douglas that he thinks things could be better, at least for him. We're seeing complete breakdowns on the offensive line from one of our better linemen, Mike Onwenu. He had a bad game.
Yep.
He had a bad game. He probably shouldn't be playing tackle. Let's face it. He might be too big for that role.
Some of us have been saying that.
Yeah,
He's a good guard.
Yeah, he's a good
He's just a
guard, but he's
tackle.
probably miscast right now. So we've got to break down this offense, and then we've got to look at the injuries that are happening. Like pretty much everybody on the offense right now is dinged up. Bentley looks like he might miss most of the season, if not all, with a torn pec. Is that right? Is that
Yep.
confirmed?
Well, Adam Schefter
I mean,
reported it
Jeremy
yesterday.
Fowler thinks he's playing this week.
Oh,
but I guess,
was it Rappaport or Schefter?
Rappaport.
I think.
Yeah.
Rappaport.
Yeah, so we're not sure, but it looks like he's off the radar as far as playing. So
That's a big loss.
it's a big
Yeah.
because he was playing so well.
Well, I
yeah.
just think that I think that they have been able to make teams one-dimensional by their ability to stop the run, and I think Godshaw, Tavai, and Bentley are a big part of that.
Yeah.
Those 3 guys.
Yeah.
And now you lose one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would also say that him wearing the green dot is not a small thing either.
No, I
Yeah.
agree.
Kyle Duggar, I believe, took over the green dot when he went out of the game, and I thought there were a couple of situations late in the game where they didn't exactly have everything buttoned up in terms of assignments and things like that. Big third down play in overtime that Charbonnet just made the line to gain on. There's actually nobody covering him in the flat. It was a bust. Maybe if Bentley's out there in that situation, they know who they know where everybody's supposed to be at.
I can't imagine Scott Peters is sleeping well right now with
Yeah.
what the job he
I'll
has
be curious
to
to
do.
see what it
Elliot
looks like
Wolf or
Thursday
Scott
night.
Peters?
No, I mean Scott Peters is now the guy that has been dealt the hand. He's the one that now has to figure this out.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yes, on a micro
I'm
level.
not blaming
yes.
him. I'm just saying he's got a tough job right now.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
But to me, they have a shortage of personnel on the offensive line. Like I don't think there's.
That's why it's a tough job.
They don't
That's
have
why
a
he's
fix.
saying you're pointing the finger at Elliot Wolf.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Ultimately, it's personnel. It's the front office. But now here we are, and now it's up to the coaches to make it work.
I don't think it's going to get much better.
And these short
That's
weeks
just
too,
me.
like the injury report to me is kind of meaningless. Like they're not practicing, and
Yeah,
they didn't practice yesterday. They're gonna do some kind of a walkthrough, I think, tonight. But all 5 guys
Andrews
are on the injury report. I don't know if that means they're all questionable. Some of these guys have been on the injury report all week, and then they're not listed at all in the game status. They're off the report. So I don't know if Andrews and Robinson and if they're all really hurt. I mean, literally all 5, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Lowe,
pretty much.
Owenu, Robinson, Andrews, and So are all on the injury report right now. And those are the 5 guys you would have thought you wanted to start the season with. If they're all legitimately, have a chance to not play in the game Thursday, I don't know what you do.
Yep.
No, I mean, Wallace probably going to have to go in. I mean, then that third tackle stuff is kind of out the window a little bit with
Yeah,
that
a lot
on
less
a short
of that
week.
this week too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple times. I think that might actually be a good thing with Wallace, to be honest. Like at this point, we might as well see if what he's got. It can't be much worse than the tackle play that they've gotten through 2 weeks. So maybe that even if he comes back at right tackle, like permanently, to kick on Wenu back inside to guard, like I would even take that at this point. So I actually would maybe go to Wallace anyways on Thursday night and see what he's got. If he can hold his water, then maybe you start to reconfigure the line a little bit with him in the lineup.
So 2 things. Jerod Mayo's wish to push the ball down the field, is that just a wish at this point? And with all these injuries and everything else, I mean, you can forget about that. Or is it something that maybe they can try to do more? And with the current state of things, are we happy that Drake May isn't playing?
I mean, I'm happy when I see Brissett. I mean, I just saw it again. Brissett got hit and grabbed his knee for a second on one of those sacks that he got.
You're happy?
Every
Happy?
time I see him
thought
take
I
a
was the
hit,
one
I'm
that
glad
was-
it's not Drake
I
May.
just gave Evan a look. Like, what's he
you're
happy
glad
about?
okay,
I'm
I
just
see
glad
where
it's
he's
not
going
Drake
with
May.
that.
I know what
I'm
you're
glad it's
saying.
not May. And as
So-
soon as he goes in there, and that's fine. If you want to pound the drum for him to be in there, that's fine. But I just don't want to hear those people being like, "Oh, it was a terrible game."
I
he
don't
got
care
killed."
about
that's what's
the
going on.
protection at all. I just only care about Drake May if he's ready.
Yeah.
That to me, like Caleb Williams. I watched the game Sunday night. I liked a lot of what I saw from Caleb Williams. Did he play great? No.
Yeah.
No. They only scored 13 points. Now with Dunze dropped a touchdown on him. That's 4 big points that they lost in a very close game. But I think there's a lot of. I say this all the time. I think there's a lot of value in what Caleb Williams is going through right now.
But
He's learning how to deal with it.
In the current state of the offense, I mean, can Drake May do any better? And
No, I have no idea.
No,
Yeah.
but that's what we have to surmise. I mean, is it worth putting him in the current state of the offense?
I'm just saying. I'm not suggesting that I'm mad that he's not playing.
No,
I don't have the
think you
information
are.
that Jerod and the coaches do.
But I'm just saying that has anything you've seen now? Because I'm a play May guy. I want him to play. I
But
want
not
him out.
until week 6.
I said by.
Mike Handful?
Unfortunately, I don't have the control of. I don't have the decision.
No, I know.
I'm a play May guy. I want him out there. But has anything we've seen kind of for guys like us, and
Not me.
It's probably just as well he's not out there.
Not for me, but I understand why people feel that way.
Yeah.
I think quarterbacks get hit. And that's life.
So how do we tie the Bryce Young of it all into this? I mean, a guy who played all last year. He's with
Too
a terrible
small.
team.
He just may not be
He's
good.
just not good enough. He's too
not.
small. I was wrong.
Yeah.
I missed.
No,
So
well,
did everybody else.
I just think he's too small and he can't handle the physicality of the league.
Yeah.
That's just my view.
And he's just not like Kyler Murray's small, but he can move. He moves around and
it's like the Roadrunner.
maybe just yeah.
Yeah, and he's also been hurt.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I think the back and forth with Drake May is tough because he's a much more aggressive downfield passer than Jacoby. So if he goes into the game, they are not going to have issues throwing the ball down the field. They just won't because he will throw it down the field. Like,
What if he's under siege?
he will throw it down the field. He will find ways to throw the ball. Like
Okay.
it's been his MO since high school. So I can't imagine that he's going to get into the game and just all of a sudden turn into Alex Smith and start dinking and dunking the ball down the field
Because,
everywhere.
You look at that game on Sunday with Brissett, and so many times he drops back, that back foot plants, and there's guys coming at him from both sides.
Yeah,
He's
under-
nowhere to
he's
go.
under a lot of pressure. I mean, we've all seen the numbers
Yeah.
out there. The
Yeah.
pressure rates are
They're-
among the worst in the league.
They're
Yeah.
second worst in pressure rate. They're dead
And-
last in pass block win rate. Like they're the worst pass protection.
And so
in the
are we
league.
putting our new quarterback in a position to succeed if you throw him out there under these conditions? That's the question they have to ask, I think, right?
Well, I just think it all is up to Drake May when they feel like mentally he's ready to play. Then he's got to go out and play football because that's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah, I think that the downside.
It is.
What if it happens all the time?
But it's going to happen. He's got to. I mean,
yeah, okay.
To Jacoby's credit, he hasn't turned the ball
you're
over
really
yet.
quiet.
No, I am. I feel like I'm exactly where I've been the whole time. I feel like a few games in, and now I've seen what I want to see, and after 6 games, that's where I feel like I'm going to be. I like getting the experience. I like seeing that there's a semblance of a running game there. So that's something that, makes you feel better about it. But Paul's, I think, 100% right. At some point, you got to play football. If he goes this whole year without playing, it's a lost year. So he's got to play.
If they feel like, he doesn't know what he's doing, we're doing this stuff.
Sure. If he's not mentally ready, you can't have him out there.
I'm not suggesting just throw him out there. What's the worst that can happen? There's a lot of bad stuff that can happen.
Yeah.
I'm like mentally he can get shot and those kinds of things. Yeah. Once you start taking the hits and stuff, but if they feel like he's out there and he's on it and he's understanding the concepts of what they're doing and recognizing where the pressure's coming from, I think there's some benefit to that.
That. There's just a combination right now to me of they're so limited with their outside receivers and the talent that they have at that position. I am fully ignoring what's on our other screen right now. There's such a limitation that they have from an outside receiver standpoint that their only way to push the ball down the field is to scheme it up and to find ways with play action and creativity and things like that to get guys open down the field. But the problem is that those take time.
So if you let's just say they're not going to put May in for the Jets, but let's just say one of these games coming up they decide, okay, it's May week, we're gonna get Drake May ready for this next game. He's taking all the snaps. How different of an offense are they practicing, or is it the same?
I don't know. I would assume it's the same.
Great question.
I would assume it's the same. Now, is it more gun? Is it more UNC style?
That's what I want to know. How is it different?
Possibly.
Is it going to be different?
I don't think so.
And is that difference going to make a difference?
Do you think it should be different?
I think it should be different. I mean, I think you got to tailor it to him. You got to tailor it a little bit. I mean, it doesn't. You're not going to. Here's the new playbook. But
I didn't draft the 3rd overall pick to turn around and hand the ball to Ramondre Stevenson 25 times a game.
Yeah.
I can get Jacoby Brissett to do that for the rest of the season. If I want to run for 175 yards every week, I can do that. I don't need a 3rd overall pick to do that.
And by the same token, you're not installing a playbook this summer that, this is our Jacoby Brissett. Like, May is going to come in at some point. At some point, this is going to be the offense. So I would hope when they're cooking things up in the summer, they're saying, these are plays for Drake May, and we'll let Jacoby Brissett. I hope it's already in place for him.
I hope so, too.
He's the future, right?
I just worry about them being such a gun-heavy team. Like gun teams that are good gun teams have a ton of talent on the outside at receiver. Like you're talking about teams like the Bengals and the Eagles and like these teams that have these superstar receivers. If you go gun all the time, like there's no play action in gun. There's no window dressing for the defense. It's we're gonna line up and we're gonna just play. Now if you have a great quarterback, like you can do that, but it puts a lot of the game on May's shoulders.
Well,
early
what if you do like pistol and it's more RPO based?
I love a pistol personally. I haven't seen them do that. Like their offense from the pistol would be under center. Like they would just say, well, at that point, like let's just put the quarterback under center. So I don't know. It just that's what I worry about in terms of May being different. Like the offense being structured differently. Is that I don't know if they have the receivers to run a gun offense or the line, to be honest with you, either.
So I want to ask you three a question because there was something that came out of the game where Brissett, I think, mentioned that he felt like they had tells when they were going to get ready to take shots. What'd you guys make of that?
I asked the question, so it was
I didn't even know that. I set you up.
Yeah, because, watching from up top, it just felt like they played a lot of two deep safety shells whenever the Patriots tried to dial up play action down the field. And he agreed. He said that it felt like they had a beat on whether it was sequencing, personnel. Like I don't know. I didn't see anything obvious on the tape with it. It's probably a Van Pelt question, honestly. But it felt like watching live and watching it back that they did try to dial up some shots, especially off play action. And the couple times that they did, it was too high. And that you're not going to throw it to the deep part of the field in those structures. It's just not going to be there.
Wow. An early
That's another
season.
one.
No, it's I mean,
Add it to the
these
list.
are the little pieces that are concerning because that's, personally, I didn't have a huge problem with Alex Van Pelt. And that's maybe a personal issue where I kind of look at everyone saying this is a guy who's been around forever. Like, I kind of like that. I kind of feel for a guy who's been in a position for a while and maybe has never gotten a shot. And so initially out of the gate, I felt like maybe this is a guy who's been waiting for his opportunity to come along, and he's going to make the most of it. And he's been, obviously in a number of systems, and he has a lot of knowledge to pull from. This was a little bit jarring to me just because the implication is that you're not mixing it up enough. You don't have enough clubs in the bag to keep defensive coordinators on their heels. And certainly Mike McDonald is as good as it gets in the NFL right now, but it did. They made, what's the stat? 3 passes to wide receivers. I mean, they had no passing game
It's just so
outside.
tough
two
when you
games,
can't block
in 2
anybody.
games, they have 4 wide receivers, I believe, that have caught passes. They have 11 catches for 85 yards.
Yeah.
In 2 full games. That's the entirety of your wide receiver
Could be a
core.
half, maybe.
We're taking
Maybe
the
a
game
quarter
back
even.
50 years. I mean, more.
It's just so tough when you can't block anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I would say this is different than what we've seen over the last few years. Has been a train wreck.
That's what I've been wondering,
offensively.
Evan, because I'm like, I've forgotten what good offense looks like. I
The
feel like.
production might not be in the passing game, especially might not be like worlds different, but I just feel like in the last couple of years, the turnover differential is massive. I mean, Jacoby Brissett hasn't turned the ball over by some miracle, hasn't turned the ball over yet.
Crazy.
And that's been big that they haven't had those catastrophic plays. Like, we haven't had throw across the field pick sixes like in Dallas last year by Mac Jones. Like, that stuff isn't happening, and they're running the ball well. So they have some semblance of like a foundation offensively. They're just very one-dimensional. I some of the plays that they drew up
ETD.
to go deep, the blocking is just not there. They
You know what
just
I think
can't
is
hold
funny
up.
too? Because I agree. Like, the turnovers have been the biggest difference. They haven't turned it over. And last year, I think they turned it over 3 times in the first 2 games. Had 3 interceptions anyway. 36 points through 2 games. You know how many they had last year through 2?
37,
35.
35.
Yeah.
It's the same. It just looks different.
Yeah.
Part of it, to me is I can look and I can watch the games. I think Jacoby Brissett's played better than Mac Jones because of the turnovers.
Well,
Yeah.
you're right.
but production-wise, he's not.
It does look the same as last year. The question is, will it look the same further into the season? Because the Patriots' offense collapsed. I mean, it just got worse. It devolved as the season.
Actually, it was 37.
Yeah.
I skipped a game.
It-
30. Yeah, whatever.
It devolved. It got worse as the season went on, because
They
Mac Jones lost his.
I mean,
his
they're
mind.
averaging 18 points a game right now. I think they averaged 15 last year. So
Yeah.
it's a field goal better if you want to go for the entirety of the
No,
season.
but right.
But like the first week, the second quarter of the first game of the season was the best the offense looked the entire
Oh,
year,
yeah.
if you ask me.
Yeah.
Those 2 touchdown drives that they had against the Eagles
Yeah.
that got them from a 16-0 deficit right back in the game at 16-14, never got any
Yeah.
better than that the rest of the year.
I just think you got to get healthy on the line and just let the same 5 go out there consistently. I mean, as much as it's been terrible, it's been a bunch of different guys having to go in and rotate, and now we're sitting on the precipice of another, huge question week of who's going to be able to go. Like, at the very least, I don't know, like, if we're going to ever have the personnel this season, but the only hope you got is that, Caden Wallace emerges at right tackle, maybe, and when you slides back inside and they're able to,
Well, this will be another
establish
huge
them.
test, because the Jets are going to bring it.
Probably
Yeah,
one
they're
of
gonna
the
bring it.
biggest mismatches in the NFL this week is the Jets' defensive front against the Patriots' offensive
Yeah.
line. It might be the number one
Yeah.
mismatch in
They
the
do
league.
catch a break with, the Jets. The Jets can get after the passer a little bit, but their 2 best guys doing it are not going to be playing. Obviously, Jermaine Johnson's out for the year
Yeah.
with a torn Achilles, and Reddick is not, just suddenly
What's he been doing?
end his holdout and
They
just
just
come back and play
watching his
Thursday
fines
night.
go through
They
the
still
roof.
have Quinnen. So
They still have Quinnen Williams, who is one
Yeah.
of the best
Yeah.
at what he does, and I think they also could be without C.J. Mosley.
Oh, really?
Just saw something. Sounds like he's okay.
Yeah, Salah says that he's got a shot, but like the Rich Siminis of the world think that
Yeah.
he's not going to play Thursday. Now maybe he'll try to get it out.
All right. Well, as
He missed most of the Titans game.
As
with a toe
expected,
injury.
a lot of you have something to say, whether it's by email at webradio@patriots.com or on the TPX hotline, 855-PATS-500. Let's get to the TPX hotline. We'll start with Patty and Agawam. What's up, Patty?
What's going on, guys?
Hey,
Hey,
just
So,
go.
I wasn't that upset about the loss, like a lot of what you guys were talking about. This morning when I woke up and I went online and I saw that Juwan Bentley was possibly done for the year, that got me really upset. Because I don't know how you guys feel about him, but he's kind of been that steadying presence on our defense for the last few years. I know his first couple of years he was a little bit hurt, but then he sort of like got himself together. And I'm not saying this to be mean, but he's kind of like a forgettable, and that like you kind of forget that he's there because he's so steady. He's always in the right place. He always does the right thing, and he's kind of expanded his game in coverage. You know, they blitz him a little bit, and not to mention his leadership. I think it's going to be a big loss. Hopefully, not that big of a loss, but I just wanted to see what you guys thought about that, and I'll take it off the air.
Thanks,
guys.
thanks, Patty. Yeah, no, I agree. He's playing great. He's the captain out there. He had the green dot. I think he's gotten better every year that he's been a pro. So this hurts.
He's just a huge attitude
Yeah.
part of the defense too, which
He's a leader.
is a
Yeah.
leader. He's been around for a while. I mean, last couple of years he's playing a lot more on third down. They're using him, in select situations to blitz. There's no one like him on the roster, and you can say Raekwon McMillan. If you got to lean on him, we'll see if he's able to stay healthy. But he doesn't have that aggressive, downhill, hard-hitting kind of edge. He's more, more a little bit. I'd say Tavai is closer to that, but I just in terms of the green dot, like I don't trust Kyle Duggar. I don't trust him. Like he has not earned my trust, especially in coverage, and especially not getting everybody on the same page. Which, I wonder without McCourty, how is that going to go? Getting, we know how important communication is for this defense, and we've seen some coverages getting blown, some guys not being on the same page. Losing one of your best communicators in the middle of the defense, it's no bueno. It's not good.
He's a huge part of how they structure it too, because he's basically like another defensive lineman in the run game. The way that he can plug gaps, so they can get away with maybe being a man short in the box sometimes because they have him over the bubbles, and he's the one that is able to fill those gaps. So he's a really big part of just how they kind of structure the entire defense from top to bottom. So it's a huge loss that might not be a household name around the league necessarily, but when you watch the ball knowers, they know.
The way the Patriots
just-
play, yeah, he's a big
It's like
part
the
of
only
it.
real true Mike on the roster. Like the other guys are all, not quite the same.
I think it's a significant loss. I do. I think he's a guy that does a lot of different things for them. And, I think Raekwon McMillan probably can be, a presence in the run game. He's a physical guy, but I don't think he's going to give you everything that Bentley did from a mental standpoint and from a leadership standpoint.
Yeah.
Daniel is in Sacramento. What's up, Daniel?
Hey, how you doing, gentlemen?
All right.
Hey.
So I wanted to ask, because I know you guys were talking about when the joint practice with the Eagles and how much their defensive front just destroyed our really bad offensive line, which I think the offensive line has been steady, but obviously pretty bad, not up to standard. So now that we're facing the Jets front, would you say that it's going to be pretty hectic like that, like how you guys were saying, how it was just dominance just at the front of the line where Ramondre wasn't able to run, quarterbacks had no time. I remember you guys were saying the quarterbacks got sacked a bunch of times.
Well, they might be able to run.
Exactly.
They've been able to run in the two games, but I would expect more of the same that you've seen.
Well, think about
Constant
it.
pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, think about it. If you're a defensive coordinator, what are you afraid of in the passing game? So you're gonna load the box, and you're gonna put pressure on Jacoby every time he drops back. You're gonna test that until Jacoby burns them.
And
You're not gonna care. Go ahead, pass the ball.
Yeah, he's faced Jacoby has faced the second
Daniel.
most stacked boxes in the league through 2 weeks. So it's no secret to these defenses that they can't throw the ball on the outside.
Yeah.
It's the run game, and maybe it's Hunter Henry. And that's, you talk about guys who worries you. Like, they're circling the run game and they're circling Henry. So what's going to happen when they start taking away Hunter Henry in the passing game? Then what? You know, he's really been the only guy that Jacoby trusts.
Yeah.
From any sort of standpoint.
You have to earn their fear. You have to make them worry about something. They, right now, based on the tape, they really don't have to worry about the Patriots passing game.
Well, it's just, this is where the season starts. Anybody can come out the first couple weeks and, you get lucky maybe, or a game just unfolds specifically and maybe you win. But now you're putting stuff on tape. Teams are starting to realize what you actually can do. They can put the Patriots offensive line right under the microscope. They know what Stevenson is capable of. And now it's about, how do we adjust? How do we find success from this? Because you're not going to continue to win with this formula, because teams are just more and more going to try to clamp all this
What I
down.
hope they don't do is revert back to what they've done in past years with those behind the line of scrimmage passing game. I hate that. I hate that.
Well, I would get ready for some of that with Demario Douglas on Thursday. I'm primed and ready for an overcompensation and an overcorrection. We're going to get the ball in his hands early in this game.
I don't
and a
mind
bunch of
doing that
those.
on a quick slant, but none of that flat pass behind the line where they've got everybody in the box anyway, so it's so easy to defend.
Wow. Freddie, not a big fan of the screen game.
No, let's use speed.
Well, let's find some.
Demario Douglas. You don't think he's fast?
I think he's quick.
Shifty.
I think he's really
he
quick.
can get open fast. Let's put it that way. That's all I'm looking for.
Take your word for it.
I just want to see him get open fast.
I have some theories on Pop Douglas.
Oh?
All
I
right.
have some theories.
Jacoby can't throw to little guys?
Maybe getting guarded
one
by what was that?
Jacoby can't throw to little guys. In camp, he was like, I got to get used to throwing to a
That's one of
small
them.
guy. I mean, Jacoby said that in camp.
I don't think Jacoby likes throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Because he just doesn't have a good
You
catch
guys,
radius.
you guys learn me stuff sometimes. Like,
Learn you stuff.
You
Listen.
learn me stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never thought of it.
Yeah.
Never
Well-
thought he doesn't like throwing to a small guy.
What do you guys make also too of in training camp them saying we want to be a big screen team, and what have they run 3-4 screens through 2 games? It hasn't even really
And
been
they've
part
all
of the
gotten,
offense.
with the exception of the one to
Hunter
Henry, they've all
Yeah.
gotten blown up.
Yeah.
And that
Like,
one
I think
to
people
Henry
are forgetting the
required a
ones that
sidearm pass.
I think people are forgetting the ones that Jacoby throws at Stevenson's feet on purpose
Yeah,
to
had
avoid a
another
loss.
one in this game.
I heard a lot of people, what happened to the screens? I was like, did you watch the game? Did you see what happened when they tried to do it?
Just can't.
You're also just a team that all the issues that we've talked about, every defense in the world knows they're going to try to throw screens. It's to Fred's point about the quick game or whatever. Okay, that's the big fix is you guys are going to throw screens in quick game. Shocker. That's So I just feel like the screens are predictable for this team right now because they don't have a downfield passing game. So what else are they going to do?
Yeah.
And the other part that I think is making it difficult is, I think I saw a stat that they've been blitzed the least amount of times in football.
Yeah.
Which, for once I got one right.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would blitz them.
No.
I
Right.
don't know why you would blitz the Patriots.
You're getting
you don't
pressure
have,
with 4.
You don't
Yep.
have to.
Nope.
And I think that makes it tougher for, an average group of receivers to deal with coverage. Now you have extra bodies. That's my Demario Douglas theory is I think he's seeing a higher quality of cornerback than he did last year, because I think he's the guy. Now I can't tell you that he's gotten covered by Reek Woolen and Devon Weatherspoon on every play. I didn't chart every play, every personnel group, but my feeling is the opposing defense is going to look at that receiver group and say, Douglas might be able to burn us for a 30-yard chunk here or there if we don't watch it. Thornton might be able to get behind us if we don't watch it. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen.
Just the part that kind of just grinded my gears about the whole thing. So they run that reverse. And they give it to probably the slowest receiver on the team in Jalen Polk. And it's like Tyquan and Pop Douglas are just sitting on the bench. And we all saw it live from the press box. I felt like it had a chance if it had hit faster. Now, to Polk's credit, he actually hit over 19 miles an hour on that
I was
play.
gonna say.
So he was kind of moving.
Maybe the worst thing that's ever happened to football.
But he wasn't. He doesn't have that second gear, right? So when he's turning the corner, it took a long time. It took a long time for him to get there. If that's in week 1, Xavier Worthy is turning the corner and it's a touchdown. Those are the differences. Why the usage of the personnel there just was a little head scratching. Why isn't that Thornton?
Well, you
that
were
play?
surprised they used him. They were hoping the other team would be too.
Yeah, I guess so.
Nadu is in Cambridge. What's up, Nadu? Nadu. Hello, from Cambridge. No.
Not going to do that call.
All right.
No, don't.
Nope. Okay.
He'll call back.
Aw.
What? He wasn't there. He must have.
We got a lot of
Thank you, Matt.
lot of emails. You wouldn't believe the amount of emails that we're getting in.
Maybe you should read.
It's like a ticker at the stock exchange. It's just it's
How do we
unbelievable.
fix this passing game?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
And it's not an easy fix, just because the personnel
No.
issues are apparent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nat is in Santa Cruz, writing in at webradio@patriots.com. He says, "What a treat this season has been. I thought we were going to be completely pathetic and win maybe 5 games. We still might, I know. However, we are competitive. You guys can come on the radio and talk about what we could have done to win the game and where we need to improve. It's just like a normal middle team. I love it. I thought we were going to talk about how awful we are and keep thinking about 3 or 4 years down the future all year. But guess what? We're a meddling team. I think he means middling team, just like everybody else, and we're competitive." So he's
Just
happy
like
about
last year.
that.
Just like the year before. There's a big difference that's changing everybody's mindset.
No, but
Because Belichick left, and there was no hope going into the season. When Belichick was here, people like Connor Orr from Sports Illustrated predicted that they would win the division last year because of Belichick. He's not here, and people said, that's it. We have no hope going into the season. Otherwise, you're playing competitive games, just like you did the last 2 years, with very little offense to get into a fight with. And it's really not all that different. They're competitive as hell. They are competitive. Both
They're
games.
better on offense.
Not so far.
They are. I mean, I understand. Like it's an eye test thing. Like they're not scoring. 0 points at home against the Chargers.
well, they didn't
or,
at the beginning of
or-
last year
no,
either.
we'll-
but
we'll
or
see.
6 points in Germany, and
We'll see.
they're not
There's
throwing
there's a long
back-breaking
season.
interceptions to lose the game.
Yeah, again, we'll see. There's a long season to
They're
go.
in
But
Dallas
through
last
2
year,
games,
New
they're scoring
Orleans,
what they
like-
scored last year through 2 games. We'll see if that continues.
yeah,
I got
the
an
question
early
is-
different
The question
vibe, but-
is, if May doesn't come in and they continue with Brissett, are they so predictable on paper that they revert to what they did last year, where they're scoring 6 points a game or 7 points a game, or
yeah.
can the offense get better?
I'm not sure about the actual points per game,
Well,
bottom
isn't
line
that the
production.
point?
But they're not going to turn the ball over as much with this group. I don't
because they
think.
don't throw the ball.
Yeah.
I just
Like,
don't think
you're
that
not
they
gonna
have the
fumble as many
catastrophic
times as you're going to
plays.
throw interceptions. I mean, that's
Listen, if not
much.
turning the ball over means that they're averaging 18 to 22 points a game,
whoa,
that's
whoa,
be-
whoa, 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 whoa.
that's better than last
22.
If
year.
they
Tuesday.
average 22 points a game, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big difference there.
Yeah.
Big difference.
There's
Yeah,
just a
sure.
huge difference to me about they had nothing last year offensively like their run game right now. They have a legit running game. They really do. And maybe teams will adjust to it and they'll put 8 guys in the box and they'll have
Yeah.
issues.
If
but
I were teams, I wouldn't. I'd
See,
say go
but
right ahead.
You're right, Evan, right now. But I guarantee if that's all they have in Week 12, we're not scoring points.
Yeah,
it's-
but if
it's
you can get to
definitely possible.
22, now that's a whole touchdown difference.
But the only way
from
you,
last
but
year.
the
That's
only
a
way
big
you
difference.
get to 22 is if you start to be more balanced. You have to. You know?
It's the play action. If they have to find a way to block play action to get it off the running game, because you go into these games and you run for 180 yards and you can't hit a single play action play down the field. It doesn't compute to me that those two things can exist at the same time. So whether it's protection or whatever, play design, whatever the case may be, if they can they're not going to be a good drop back pass team. They're just not. They're not going to block people. They don't have the talent at quarterback. Like they're not going to drop back pass at a high level. But if they can scheme up play action off this running game, then maybe they can get to 20 points a game. I think that is possible. I mean, Joe Flacco did it off his couch for the Browns last year and took them to the playoffs with the same scheme. So like, it's not like it needs to be, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers out there for them to throw the ball in this offense. They just, for some reason, they can't get the play action going.
Tom in Edinburgh. Remember that?
I do.
Yeah. Disappointing loss considering the team made me believe that it was possible to win. Before Paul says it's fantasy land, which it is, please entertain my thoughts. The Chargers use their first-round pick on Joe Alt, who by all accounts is going to be an outstanding left tackle, yet they play him at right because of Slater. Is this feasible for long, or will they have to move them around to keep people happy? Does this make an opening for a trade offer? Wild, I know, but it seems crazy that the Chargers drafted Alt with Slater, as Slater isn't old.
I think the Chargers love having both those
Yeah, I was
guys.
gonna say, what's the
Like,
problem
I
with
mean,
having both
I
of
saw
them?
something that had them the 2 highest rated tackles of the week.
yeah, they did really well. Like Clowney, I think he went against last week. I saw a couple things.
And I would just say, I haven't seen 1 second of the 2 Chargers games, but I know how Jim Harbaugh wants to play, and I would imagine he likes the fact that he has 2 dominant tackles to be physical behind. DK Dobbins,
yeah.
is it DK?
JK.
JK Dobbins.
Just kidding.
DK Metcalf. I get my initials
Nowadays,
mixed up.
I think
he looks like a whole different guy.
Yeah, I think left and right don't matter as much as to teams as maybe they did once upon a time, because you're facing the same level of pass rusher no matter which side of the line you're lined up against. So Joel can stay at right tackle for
as
his
long as he
Charger
can do
career.
it. Yeah, I think there's some guys that have a hard time switching, but
Doesn't
look
it.
like Joe Alt is
But
having a
he'll
hard
get
time
paid
switching.
$20-25 million a year to play right tackle too
If
in this league.
he's a dominant tackle, he'll get
Yeah.
his money.
Penny Sewell, right?
Exactly.
Penny Sewell plays right tackle.
Good
He's right.
example.
Scott in Virginia has a question for Evan.
Only me.
He said, I noticed a lot of people saying Pop is not getting the ball because he's continually the 3rd or 4th read. Jacoby doesn't have time to throw the ball to him. Does this scheme force a progression on the quarterback, or is Jacoby to blame for not finding the mismatch pre-snap?
Yeah, I mean, there's progressions in every offense, but I agree with that. I don't see Pop in the initial read a ton. He was on the 3rd down sack in the game on Sunday, the big one that we talked about earlier. But the biggest thing, we kind of hinted at it jokingly, but I think it's genuine. I don't necessarily believe that Jacoby loves throwing him the ball because of how short he is and because of it. He doesn't have a great catch radius, and that if you're not pinpoint accurate as a quarterback and you don't think the guy's going to save you if the ball's a little high or whatever the case may be, it might be a little tough to throw him the football in certain situations. The other thing I would point to that isn't quite as tinfoil hatty is just he's not a base receiver in this offense. This is a run-first offense. He doesn't play in 12
block.
He doesn't play in 12 personnel. Really, the only thing that he can do on first down is go in motion, which, like, how often are you really going to have him do that throughout the course of a game? He can't play the slot on early downs because he can't block. So it just, from a stylistic standpoint, he's just not a very good fit for what they're currently doing right now.
And do you have the numbers, you guys? Because I know you 11 personnel. It seems like they were in that a lot.
Yeah, so he plays in 11. They were in 12 20 times in the game on Sunday. He was on the field for 2 of those snaps. So the other 36 snaps that he played were all in 11 personnel. So he is the 3rd receiver that comes on the field when they go to 11, but Osborne and Polk are their base receivers because those guys are bigger and they can stick their hat into the run fit and block people. So that's a big difference for. I know it drives people nuts that we're
Drives me
talking
nuts.
about run blocking
Yep.
and things like that. I get that, but it's just as clear as day that they don't play him in heavy personnel.
I'm with
and
the
they don't
fans
play
on
him on
that
first
one.
down.
Yeah.
That seems to me like he's your best receiver. He should be out
Yeah,
there.
I just
all
don't
the time.
I,
Find a
I don't
way.
remember. I don't know. Wes Welker doing a lot of blocking. Maybe he
No.
did.
They
I
didn't,
don't
they
know.
didn't run the ball a whole lot with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, it's a different offense. They
Yeah.
didn't. They certainly didn't run for 180 yards.
But, you know,
or whatever,
put Pop
a
in the
lot.
slot, get open, and throw him the ball. I mean, that doesn't seem complicated to me.
On third down or 2-minute or whatever, then yeah, absolutely, and they need to do that more. But this base offense, it's just.
What about a drive starter?
How are you going to run duo with an 180-pound receiver trying to dig out the nickel? Like, good luck. Like, that's just not going to work. I'm just being honest. Like, I didn't mean to
A lot
go
of people
like,
out there, something moved.
Evan. I didn't mean to go.
I don't think anybody but the old 22 Cowboys moved on that one.
Yeah, the ball knowers.
The ball knowers.
I didn't mean to do that, but like
It was good. It was good.
the point is that it just doesn't compute. It just doesn't compute. Or like if they're gonna run outside zone, So they did run outside zone a couple times where they brought him in motion in the other direction to kind of move the defense over. But that's literally all he can do.
Yeah.
In that situation is just go in motion. Otherwise, like, you're going to put him at the point of attack on outside zone.
So, Freddie, I'm going to
I don't
not
know, does
argue with you.
Tyreek Hill block a lot?
No, they motion him.
Okay, so
That-
let's motion our guy.
Well, they
So
did
I'm
a
going to go
couple
with you here.
times.
I know I always argue
I hear
with you.
you. I
So-
get it.
I mean, I'm not saying he's Tyreek Hill.
So one of
Some
the
people do.
I think the most important.
Sorry.
Some people call him a dollar store Tyreek Hill. Like, I don't know.
Another
Maybe
one I didn't mean to do.
out of business dollar store. But if you look back at one of the key junctions that we talked about, the end of the first half, I think it was the second. First of all, everything about that sequence was horribly managed by the coaching staff. Like, you come out, you run the ball, you decide we're going to let time tick off the clock because JaMychal Hasty's run didn't get anything, and then you throw the ball twice, and like, I don't think they could make up their mind what they wanted to do. Okay, so there was a philosophical problem there, but I think the second down play was like, after all of that, you run 4 verticals, and you're on your own 8-yard line. That's not really the time. Like, in the last minute, when you're trying to get off the field and just keep the clock running, that didn't seem like a very opportune time to take a shot. Like, to Fred's point, why not instead have something quick to Demario Douglas where he's crossing the field? Maybe he catches it. Maybe he's breaking a tackle. Maybe he gets a step on a guy chasing him, and he turns it upfield. And all of a sudden you get a free 15 yards. Maybe he scats out of bounds. And now, hey, game on with our 2-minute drill. They haven't even been able to get into a 2-minute drill. Now, this gets back to practice. Do we see a single good 2-minute drill in practice?
Very rarely.
Like, the one that the most successful one took about a half an hour. Do you remember that day when Brissett was saying, like,
They
you
had
really
one.
don't want to be using 13 plays on these drives, you know?
Yeah, they had one where he hit Thornton on a go route against Gonzalez. That was like the big play of the drive. That was like the one time where
Was
I
that
was
against
like,
the Eagles that ended up stalling once they got down there?
No, this was like a Patriots practice. But that was the one time I remember like a clean. They really run them as 1-minute drills now. But
I'm watching, like, last night, the end of the game, and Atlanta did not look great offensively for big chunks of that game. All of a sudden, they get in a 2-minute drill, and Kirk Cousins looked like Tom Brady. I mean, it was surgical how easy he went down the field. And he's throwing to guys like Darnell Mooney. It's not like,
I like Darnell Mooney. He's a good player.
I don't know. Can Douglas not be anything like that?
I think that's a really good comp for what Pop Douglas.
Yeah, I mean, I
ceiling
know
should
I'm
be.
not crazy. I'm not calling him Tyreek Hill. Like Evan points out wisely that others in the logo. I also think that might be part.
Here we go.
No,
Here we
and-
go.
and here
But I think that's a little. I was saying this to Mike as we were walking. I think that's part of the Demario Douglas quandary right now.
Overrated.
The local media
Yeah.
had just anointed him as the next Edelman,
They're just putting
Welker,
him up there.
whoever,
Yeah.
based off of a really promising rookie year. Like, there was talk of him smashing through the 100 reception mark. Can we let him do it before, and we're just going to base it on a bunch of 5-yard passes that he caught in training camp practice when he got back off of whatever the hand problem that he had was? Like, and this is not a shot. I think Demario Douglas is the best receiver they have. I'm not telling you that I think he can't play. So don't turn this into Paul's beating up on the Patriots again. That's not what I'm doing. I think the media perception of
Perillo,
him
pop bubble pop.
has raised the expectations. And now, like, he goes a couple of games where he's a non-factor, and people are like, well, the first thing they have to do is he needs to be out there, and he needs to be a base receiver. Well, Evan's given you a lot of football reasons why that might not make sense.
Yeah.
Like, his size and his lack of physicality, if you're going to have him out there sticking his nose in trying to, how'd you call it, dig out the
Dig out the
out the
nickel.
safety.
Dig out
dig out the
the
safety in
Dig out the
duo.
nickel.
Dig out the nickel.
Oh, the nickel, sorry.
in duo.
Pick out
Yes.
the nickel.
Like,
big
I'm
block in
not
the
sure
play.
that's the best way to have him operate. I'm not sure throwing the ball to him, a really high percentage of the time is a great way to have him operate based on his concussion history.
This is just another example, though, of things not quite fitting the offense right now. Whether it was the offensive line, the style of guys that they have, the style of receivers that they have, what they're trying to do. Like, the only thing that really fits right now, it feels like, is Ramondre and Gibson. And those two pieces fit their running game pretty well. But, I'm sure there'd be some pushback on Ramondre, too, as to how well he really fits the scheme. I don't know. That to me, that's the big takeaway from 2 weeks is we're talking a lot about these guys don't fit.
It'll be better when Kendrick Bourne gets back.
It will be. I mean, it will be.
Kendrick
I'm
Bourne,
kind of kidding, but I'm not.
He should help.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
he's
should
not going to
help.
make them a good passing offense, but he'll make them better.
He's
better than
Yeah.
what they have.
He's better than Osborne.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
for sure.
So yeah. Well, you
But-
got a couple more weeks
Would
before
you-
he's
You
eligible.
were waiting for another fight there, weren't you?
Yeah, a
No,
little
I'm
bit.
with you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
after
He's a
after
better
San
receiver than
Francisco, I
Osborne.
think.
I agree with Evan and I agree with Fred.
Week 5, Miami.
Yeah,
Is that right?
He was around Halloween. But they did block some outside zone pretty well in the game on Sunday. That was probably their
We
best.
did hit 17 foul balls.
That was probably the best outside zone game they've
No.
had.
They did. We were talking about it. Evan was learning me the outside zone stuff
Yeah.
because I always ask him before I make a declarative sentence.
Now, one of them, Antonio Gibson, broke about 6 tackles and went for 45 yards. So the numbers are a little bit inflated in the charting, but just in general, I thought that they blocked it pretty well on multiple runs outside.
He had
of that.
one in the
The one
first
he got the
half.
edge up the
yeah.
right sideline,
I think it was
19
19 yards.
yards.
That was
Yeah.
very well blocked.
Layden Robinson, great block.
He had the edge. I mean, like
Yeah.
like you saw it. He's gonna you can see he's gonna put his foot down and he's gonna get up the sideline unimpeded. The other one to me is like that was all Gibson all on his own.
I love.
I think it was your boy
Ramondre.
Mafe that missed the tackle.
Oh yeah, I love Ramondre, but this offense needs explosiveness, and Gibson is an explosive guy. Even if it's some, we talked about screens. We talked like any sort of way to get him the ball into some space.
That I would argue with. I don't think they've thrown anything to Gibson. In that,
He had
that
one
regard.
third down conversion or beat the linebacker to the flat, but just in general, they need to find ways to get him the ball in space because they just don't have a ton of guys that run away from people, and he does.
Matt in Virginia Beach, I'm definitely disappointed by the loss because I feel like it's a game we had a real chance to win. I think that the potential lethality of the Patriots offense relies totally on the development of Drake May. Now, I'm not banging the table for May to start against New York. Actually, it's New Jersey. But Jacoby Brissett will never be able to take this team to the next level. He is what he is, a game manager and not a game breaker. With all that being said, I don't feel any sense of hopelessness like I felt under the Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi-led teams.
Well, I agree because Drake May is the
Yeah,
backup
you got your
quarterback.
best club in the bag
Right.
still.
I truly, that's a good way to put it. I truly feel like we have a chance to win every game we play this season, and I haven't felt that way for a long time. I consider that to be a very positive step forward under the Jerod Mayo regime. Every game will be likely a salty rock fight, but it appears that we have the fighting spirit within the locker room.
I hope so. I'm just not ready to make declarative statements about this whole team and about what they are and how every game's going to go. This has been 2 games, and they've played pretty well. I thought they've looked pretty well coached. They weren't as clutch in the second game. There's positive things to build off of, but
I would just say I can't tell everybody how they felt going into games last year and how they feel going into games this year. They had a chance to win every game last year. They got blown out twice. Like, I just think it's unfair what people are like putting on the difference in coaching.
Yeah.
Like, if Belichick did what Mayo did at the end of the first half, they would have eviscerated him. Eviscerated. That was coaching malpractice. That was like willingly giving the other team a chance to put points on the board. It happens. It was a mistake. But I just think that people look at, everything's, we got a chance to win because everybody is so stunned.
Well, the expectations were
right,
so
because
low.
of the expectations when Bill left.
Right.
The expectations were so low. That's why I said I can't tell you how to feel. I didn't think that they had no chance to win these 2 games. I thought they'd be 1-1. I got them wrong. I thought they would lose to Cincinnati and beat Seattle. I thought they had a chance to win both games.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah.
Now, I think they have a chance to win this game, too, on Thursday night. After that, I'm going to probably readjust a little bit moving forward, although the way the season's going for the Niners, they might have to forfeit. So who knows?
They're dropping like snowflakes over there.
Snowflakes.
All right, we're going to take a
It's
break.
rocket shot.
My food's here. We will be right back. Lots of emails, as I said, calls coming in. We'll be right back after this. Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming To learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer, Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Good afternoon. Had an opportunity to go back and go through the film. I had an opportunity to go and meet with the coaches as well in all three phases of the game. We just didn't do enough. We didn't execute when we needed to at the end of the half or the end of the game, and it's disappointing. And this is it's a true loss if we don't learn anything from it. We're going to use this as a teaching experience, and so talked about it at the beginning of the season, what success looks like for me, and that's just getting better each and every week. Not only the players, but also the coaches and myself.
Jerod, what do you hope you learn from it?
Yeah, I continually preach that every single play matters. And you can go back in that game and you can find 8 to 10 plays where if we would have just did that, and I hate that, right? Like, if this would have happened, if that would have happened, well, it didn't happen. And so to me, it's, the average play being 5, 6 seconds, whatever it is. Like, you have to have the ultimate focus and maintain that focus as the game continues on. Now, there were a lot of good things on the film, and I'm not into a good loss or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But there were a lot of good things. I thought we were still able to run the ball, control the line of scrimmage. Even when we were down, I felt like we were in control of the game. One thing, if you offensively. We got to find a way to get the ball down the field. We got to find a way to get the ball in our playmakers' hands, so those guys can go out there and make yards. So, and that's on it's a hybrid. It's on the coaches, myself, starting with myself, and that definitely is something that we have to continue going forward. Defensively, those guys went out there and played hard, had a few 3-and-outs. We have to get turnovers. We have to find a way to get turnovers and get the ball back into our offense's hands. And then I would say special teams-wise, the main thing being that block field goal that everyone remembers. But like I said earlier, there were more plays than just the block field goal that cost us this game.
How easily correctable in your mind are all these things?
Yeah, I don't think anything at this level is easy. I think there is some low-hanging fruit, though, that we can take advantage of going forward.
Now they've had a day to kind of chew on everything. Would you have done anything differently, either with the 4th and 1 in overtime or the clock management, the way you guys called the end of the first half?
Yeah, I don't want to get into, if this would have happened or looking back like that, and dealing in hypotheticals. I made a decision, and, it's a decision that I have to live with, and I'm willing to take the consequences either way. And, all of those key decisions, whether it's to take the ball going into overtime or not taking the ball those are all things that can change on a game-by-game basis, and also the flow of the game. And so, maybe the defense is playing great or the offense is playing great, and all those things come into play. So I wouldn't change anything, but at the same time, to your point, you have to go back and evaluate, just that whole operation.
When you're asked about him being frustrated, how do those conversations go?
Look, all of those guys in that locker room want to play football. All of those guys in the locker room want to help this team win. And if they're not frustrated, then that's an even bigger problem. And frustrations, every single week someone's going to be frustrated. Every single week you're going to have to put more on one side of the ball or more on one individual than the other, just based on matchups alone. And, if you're not frustrated, that to me just says a lot.
I know you were asked about him yesterday and today, but do you have any update on Chuks Okorafor and whether you expect him to be available for you again this season?
Look, Chuks left the building. He's not with the team. He's doing some thinking, but at this point in time, he's not with the team. So I don't want to get into that. I told you guys I did give him a call. We had a good call, and it had nothing to do with football or roster spot. It had everything to do with just making sure that he was okay.
After Bentley went down, was Duggar at the green dot, and how do you feel like communication went after the injury?
Yeah, the communication was good, and it was Duggar. And remember, Duggar did it all last year as well, so it was not anything new for him. I've always been a huge believer in like a linebacker having the green dot, but I'll tell you, the way Duggar played yesterday as a whole and able to handle the communication, he definitely filled in for that role. Yeah, it's hard for offensive and defensive players who, they feel they are just an offensive player or defense. It's hard at this level. It's not like in college where you have 100 people on the sideline. So special teams is always part of the conversation. And you always try to get, unless you're just the absolute best at your position or quarterback, like they all have to play special teams. We talk about that's the hidden yardage, and we have to take advantage of those things, and we'll see how it goes going forward.
What was that atmosphere like coaching in your first overtime game, having control of everything that the team was doing offensively and defensively?
It was great. Unfortunately, we walked away with an L, but it was good to be home. I thought the fans came out and, they were loud, and I'm disappointed we weren't able to deliver a win for them.
Jerod, you've talked a lot about toughness, and Jacoby has shown that. Is there, or what is the level of concern with the way and how many times he's been hit in these first two games?
I mean, you never want your quarterback to get hit. We have to do a better job in our pass pro up front, and we have to keep him clean, because even when he's not getting hit, or any quarterback, if they're back there and they feel people around him, it always is going to affect you a little bit. Now, in saying that, I've always said, look, Jacoby's a great leader. He's a competitor, but he's also he's a very tough player, mentally and physically. And look, we'll try to keep him clean going forward, but look, he has shoulder pads on just like everyone else, so see how it goes.
Do you have any injury updates regarding Bentley and, I guess, Jacoby?
Yeah, so those guys are with the doctors right now. We had our injury check this morning, as I told you guys yesterday, and I'm still kind of waiting to hear back on some of that stuff. Yeah, he's another one. Like, the injury check was this morning. Some of these guys had to get MRIs and second opinions, so to me, I probably misspoke when I said, you know what, I'll be able to tell you at this press conference, because once again, and look, in full transparency, but once again, you can give the team diagnoses, but a lot of these guys, whether it's them or their agents, want to get a second opinion. So I don't feel comfortable talking about that until they get their second opinion.
If Derek isn't able to go this week, what's your level of confidence in Caden being able to step in?
We'll have to see. He's had some good snaps for us, and that's what it's all about. It's next man up mentality. I know it sounds very cliche or very corny, but that's the world we live in. Like, this is the roster that we have, and we're gonna make do with it.
And now, great moments in history.
Richard in Prague writes in. Please tell Matt Lauer lookalike he's wrong. It's pronounced Edinburgh, not Edinburgh.
No, this just won't go away.
No,
the
you know
tour
what?
guide.
Hold on, time out.
I have to finish the email.
No, time out, because I know he's going to. Yeah.
I was much more lenient of the email.
Yeah.
Time out.
I let you read the whole thing. Matter of fact, I nodded off.
Fred hasn't read any of the emails, and there have been that have said Eric's right.
5,000.
You've refused to read any of those.
I've seen comments on Twitter that
refused. Absolutely refused.
The tour guide who told him otherwise was clearly a major bell end. I've never heard that. That must be a
Scottish
Prague
putdown
thing.
I just thought it was funny. They said, one of the guys said I was right, and I didn't even know what I was saying. I was just kind of throwing like Edinburgh.
That's another great moment from
All right, back here in Patriots Unfiltered. 855-PASS-500 is the TPX hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. It's Evan, Paul, myself, Deuce, Matt in the booth.
Hello. Oh, you okay?
Just ate.
Get any on you?
Quickly. Quickly. I might need a bib.
There's no might.
Yeah.
Burp ya or?
Huh?
Burp ya?
Yeah, a little bit. All right, Tim writes in, given the recent Bryce Young news, Why aren't fans in New England more concerned about starting a rookie on a bad team? More often than not, these kids need a lot to go right around them to succeed. Carr, Young, Darnold, Bradford, Wilson, Lance, Jones, Fields, on and on and on. I don't want this kid and this team to start early only to be a cautionary tale.
Well, seems like you're going to get your wish because he's not playing. So,
Yeah, I just think it's too simplistic the way people categorize. I mean, if a guy plays right away and he doesn't work out, it's because you played too early.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
If you tell me so, if you tell me Bryce Young would have been a star if he sat 8 weeks and this wouldn't be happening, I'll take your word for it. I don't know. I can't tell you I'm right.
But what are they saying about Bryce Young, though? Is this like we need to pull him back and
Played
reset
too
him, or
early.
is this like your
mental reset?
Mental reset.
Yeah,
So he's
he
going to
played
sit for a little
He played
bit.
too early, and they don't have the roster to support him, so they ruined him. That's the Twitterati.
Mhm.
Because the Twitter has all the answers. Much like Tua Tagovailoa should retire.
Well.
Because people that watch football say so.
Yeah.
Antonio Pierce, by the way, should be fined.
But they're all, Paul, you got to. They're all concerned for Tua.
No,
that's
I know.
why they're saying.
I know. How many concussions did Mario Douglas get last year?
Ooh,
I think
Two.
Two big ones.
Two
Yeah.
Anybody calling for him to retire?
No.
Not yet.
No.
No, because it's none of our business.
Well, he didn't do the fencing.
But it's none of our business. It's up to the player
I know.
to take the information that
Right.
he has, weigh the
Of
risks,
course.
decide what he wants to do, what's best for him.
Of
There's
course.
plenty of guys. Who's that linebacker from San Francisco? Borland, I think. Chris Borland.
Borland, yeah.
Retired after like his first year. Had a
That's
good
it.
Yep.
first or second year.
That's his
That was what was
decision.
best for him.
Right.
That's what he decided to do.
Yep. Franklin in Baltimore. I know you guys will spend some time talking about the game, but I have to mention, I see how Carolina just torpedoed any chance of Bryce Young being a decent player, and I'm all the more glad May didn't follow the same route, because I think multiple things can be true. Yes, Bryce is bad and has shown no sign of improvement from year 1 to year 2, and yes, there are other quarterbacks who can overcome a bad situation, but if you're a team who has invested as much capital as the Panthers did in getting Young, it doesn't do your organization any good to then just throw him to the wolves before he's ready and expect them to show a maturity of a veteran when managing a bad team. Some young quarterbacks do need more time than others, and it's nighttime. And it's nighttime we hold. I think it's
Not time.
nighttime,
No.
maybe. We hold front offices accountable for poorly
high
supporting
time?
their young players. Thankfully, the Patriots are doing the right thing and aren't rushing for instant gratification while the team is still under construction.
I sort of
There you
agree
go.
with
I have a question in the back.
that last point, but just out of curiosity, like, name the best receiver on the Carolina Panthers.
Right.
Adam Thielen.
Oh yeah.
Deontay Johnson,
Yeah.
Adam Thielen, maybe. Right? Like, it just, their situation in Carolina is malpractice because they had 2 full off seasons to stock Bryce Young's supporting cast and have done
Well, they also
none of it.
wasted all their resources getting Bryce Young.
Right, and including trading DJ Moore, who would have been very helpful to
DJ
now
Moore,
have.
He
Christian
probably wants to go back
McCaffrey,
now.
Yeah.
He's all
Brian
pissed
Burns.
too.
Like,
Right.
they wasted a lot of. Listen, I'm not going to turn this into the Panthers, but I have a quick question.
When I was 14.
How do we know that Bryce Young wasn't ready?
Right. That's
I think
the
it-
assumption
they're-
there that you don't know.
Their situation to me has nothing to do with Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
If the Patriots go into next offseason, 2025, and they still have this line and these receivers and all that, it's going to have nothing to do with Drake May necessarily. It's going to have to do with the fact that Elliott Wolf didn't do his job.
I'm not as smart as these people. I don't know the state of readiness that all these players have. Like, I didn't know that Trey Lance was going to break his ankle in his second career start. I didn't know that was going to happen. I'm not as smart as these people.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a million ways that quarterbacks fail and succeed.
Yeah.
And I think that we just think there's only 2.
Yeah.
Either a guy plays too early or they do it the right way.
Now,
Those are the only 2
now,
alternatives.
I have to admit, I haven't watched a lot of Bryce Young, so I don't know the eye test.
He stinks.
Right.
I mean, there is. It is what it is.
But I watched Caleb Williams the other night. He looked okay. Like,
I thought he looked really good, to be honest with
he,
you.
He threw the ball well. With confidence. I thought he moved around already. He's going to get better. Like, he has a lot to learn.
He's got to learn that he can't run around.
Right. He's
like,
got
he got
to learn
sacked
that.
7
He got
times.
sacked 7 times.
He's
Right.
gotta get the ball
but
out.
like,
Right.
but you can see, like, him out there is going to help him. Like, it's
now listen.
He's so much more talented than Bryce
He
Young.
is.
He might not work.
Right.
Like there might be other reasons why, but I just don't think it's always. If the guy plays too early and it doesn't work out, it's because he played too. If the guy plays right away, it's because he played too early.
Right.
I think that's so simplistic. There's no pressure on anybody. Like
They have one of the worst
Baker
rosters
Mayfield
in the league.
Let's look at your guy Baker Mayfield, who I'm not a huge fan of.
No, but the
How's
league
he
is
look?
better with him in it.
How's he look?
Looks great.
He's playing all right, right?
Yeah.
He's doing okay.
Yeah.
Played early.
Yeah.
Cleveland ruined him. Right?
Right.
He looked
That
like he
was-
got ruined like 3 times.
Cleveland ruined him.
Yeah.
Then he left, and or maybe it just took him a while to figure out how to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
And he was fine. Like it's not this mental battering that he had. I don't know. Maybe he would probably tell you maybe I could have used a little more time to develop. And he probably who wouldn't?
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's a blanket statement that
Or-
if
or
you
he
play
could
right
tell
away,
you-
you played too early.
Or he could tell you being out there right away helped me because I faster. I don't know.
He was actually good his rookie year.
He was really good his rookie
He
year.
kind of had like a Mac Jones of it all, where the rookie year was good and then it kind of tailed
I
off.
just know me, and whether it was in sports or
Only
even in the
productive.
classroom, I learned by doing a lot
Yeah.
faster than just by listening.
And that worked for you.
Yeah, right, right,
Now someone
right.
else might work by watching,
Right.
learn by watching,
Yeah.
and he benefits from it. My problem isn't that I think I'm right. That's not my problem.
No,
here.
your
I
problem
don't,
is
I
people
don't know.
saying it has to be this way.
Right. There's only and it's everybody's analysis is strictly result based.
Yeah.
I don't need an analysis if you're just going to tell me who won the game.
Right.
Like, I have the scoreboard for that. Like, obviously, Bryce Young has been terrible. Did you see? Like, do you see some of his stats, Mike?
His QBR
Those
is
were
like
85
9.
yards.
Oh no, I saw him getting run around, getting
Yeah.
killed.
Like
You know.
literally, the Patriots' passing game is doubling that. Think about that. That's how bad it's been.
Yeah.
But I just don't know
Right.
everything that all these other guys seem to know
it's
that
a-
he wasn't ready.
And it's such
I
without
don't know
context
that.
to their college careers of guys who are Drake May, who's 21, who really started 2 years, versus a guy like Jaden Daniels, who, what's Jaden Daniels like? If you're going to sit him now at 24, 25 years, like you got to get him going. He's got all that college experience that he has to go off of. Whereas, a kid like May's a little bit younger, so
Like those three rookies that are playing, right? None of them are ready. Like, because a rookie is just probably not going to be ready.
Right.
But, and I don't know. Like Washington has been able to be serviceable with Jaden Daniels.
He's been the best
Do-
out of
you know,
them.
it's a question. Do you get them ready on the bench or do you get them ready by playing? Either way, like you said, none of them are ready.
To me, the only
None
one
of
that
them are
looks
ready.
like he's way
But
over
what's
his head
gonna
is
get
Bo
them
Nix.
ready quicker
Yeah.
and better?
Like
I know.
when I
Yeah.
watched, because I watched a good chunk of the Denver game because we were playing Seattle.
Yeah.
And I thought Bo Nix looked like he was way over his head.
He had 2 Mac Jones interceptions in that game off the back foot, just lofting the ball into 3
Did you hear
guys.
what he said when they asked
Yeah.
him, what did you see on that interception? He goes, I dropped back and threw it to the other team.
Yeah.
That was his explanation.
Well, I wouldn't like that if I was Sean Payton.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
he's got 4 picks in 2 games. He looks to me, like he's struggling. Daniels runs around. He's a great athlete, and he gets himself out of a lot of trouble, with that. And I think Williams, I agree with you, especially in the first half the other night.
He looked good.
I thought there was a big improvement from week 1 to week 2. He missed a lot of easy
Yeah,
throws
yeah.
in week 1. He's going to have to learn, much like what Brian Hoyer said about May in the preseason, like you can't just run around because
These
the
guys are
guys in this
faster.
league are just
Yeah.
as fast as you.
Yeah.
And they're going to, you can't just run around, give ground. He had like a 19-yard sack he took in the first game.
Yeah.
And some of the interceptions were as a result of him just trying to do too much. He's got to learn that kind of stuff.
He
but-
had that on at USC.
how and,
Oh, yeah.
And then that becomes the bottom line. How best to learn that? Is it just sitting on the bench or actually getting in the game and making those mistakes and learning from that? There's no right answer.
Learning from it, though, is the key, whether he's
Right.
on the field or on the bench.
Right.
Does he learn from it, or do you just see the same mistakes
Right.
over and over
Right.
again?
The vibe I get from the Patriots handling of with Drake is more him watching Jacoby go through the motions of being a starting quarterback in the league, more so than he's only going to learn the stuff we're talking about by playing.
Yeah.
I don't think that they believe that he's going to stand on the sideline and holding the clipboard and all of a sudden learn how to read defenses and do all this other stuff by sitting on the sideline. They want him to mature a little bit before they throw him out there. They want to show him, this is what a 10-year veteran in the league does to prepare on Tuesday for a game that's not until Sunday. Like, this is the way that you go about watching film. This is the way that you go about scouting an opponent. Like, those types of things, because they aren't in any rush. Like, if they felt like they needed to rush him on the field, then they would probably just say, just learn that stuff. We'll walk you through it and we'll get you there. But they aren't in any rush. I don't think it's that they believe he's going to be better off from sitting in terms of all the stuff we're talking about, like Caleb holding the ball too long, or, Bo Nix throwing bad interceptions, or whatever the case may be. That stuff is going to come from playing. But they want him to learn how to be a pro. And I also think they wanted the offense to, in general, just settle down, or at least settle into some sort of an identity before they put him in there.
Fingers crossed. We'll get there, I believe.
Derek writes in, are the Patriots doing Onwenu a disservice putting him at right tackle and not his normal position of guard?
I mean, personally, I feel like I've been consistent. I think he's a really good guard.
Yeah.
I think he's an okay tackle, and it's just
I have a tough time saying disservice because he already got paid.
He's kind of getting paid like a right tackle.
He's already making money, so it's not like he's on the last year of his rookie contract and he's trying to hit free agency on a high. He already got his money. But yeah, he's out of position.
Yeah, I think he'd be better served at guard. I agree with everybody, but he is getting paid. I think he's like on the fringe of the top 10 right tackles at 19 million AAV, something like that.
It's just
It's not like he's underpaid. Yeah. Let's put it that way.
It's just not disappointing. I mean, you paid this guy. You touted him as a big signing of kind of the crown jewel of your offensive line in the offseason, and the reports that he came in overweight, that he's having a bad game in week 2. I mean, these are the guys that you need to rise up and set the tone and carry the torch on the offensive line. And right now, to have him have a bad game, it's disheartening. It's okay. I understand if it's a left tackle position. I think we're all used to that at this point. But getting it from Onwenu, that's a step backwards.
Todd's in North Carolina on the TPX hotline. What's up, Todd?
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. I took away some positives from the game, thinking that they tried to do some other stuff and they didn't just quit. Like last year, as soon as they would have gone down, I think they might have just quit. My question is kind of how does our offensive coordinator get this team to a place where we can use all our tools? Because we're not using all our tools, and we don't have a lot of great tools. We've got some good tools, but we don't got great. And I think the only way this team can progress is to be able to use all of them. And I'm not sure how you do it with his system. Do you think he can go outside his system, or is he going to be forcing the system onto the players? Thanks, guys. Have a good show.
Right. Well, there's two parts to that, and I'm not sure they quit last year. I think maybe on offense, maybe some guys, but not on defense, certainly. And then the other part of it, I can't answer that. I have no idea. Like forcing the system onto them versus adjusting the system to the players.
I just kind of disagree with that whole notion, not to like pick on Todd, but like I don't feel like they're forcing players into a system. Like every team has a system. Yeah. So at some point in time you have to run a system. Like, and you're not going to just, it's not Madden. Like we're not just picking plays out of a make-believe playbook and saying this is what we're going to run. Like every team has a system that the players have to go out and find out how to execute within their skill set. So like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of that coming out of this game where it's like, oh, they're forcing the system onto the group. Like they got to execute better. Like it's that simple. Like the players, like Josh McDaniels would not change his entire system. No. He would tell them to execute it better.
No, you can not like the system. I don't particularly care for it, but I don't necessarily think that they need to like alter everything to fit DeMario Douglas.
Right. That's my point too.
Nolan in California, as much as I wanted and thought Drake would start week 1, seeing how the season is unfolding with rookie quarterbacks struggling a bit, Jacoby doing a nice job of protecting the ball and himself, I don't mind this patient approach, especially since even with Drake, who is to say our record will be better. Let's be patient.
I wonder when the patience will run out, and that's, I'm patient right now, but it goes back to what we were just talking about. No one out there, is anyone realistically saying Drake May shouldn't even play this year? Like, that's where I draw the line.
And that's the thing we talked about.
Sounds
on the
like a lot of
post-game
people
show.
want that.
Let's not confuse playing Drake because we think the record will be better. That's not why I want to play Drake. I don't care about the record this year. All I care about is the development of Drake May. And if that means they won 2 games, but now if they only win 2 games, that probably means they didn't play that well. But I get it. But what the record is to me right now is secondary to the future.
Yeah, I just
the
don't think
future is what I'm worried about right now.
I don't think it would matter much.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
no, but
are you going to give yourself like that much better of a chance or worse of a chance?
I don't
want
to play Drake May now because I want our record to be better.
But to Mike's point, I get the feeling there's a lot of people now that are very content if they don't see May at all this year. And I'm not making listen.
I think that's growing.
But I say this all the time. I don't like to tell people how they should feel. Like if that's how you feel as a fan, then that's how you feel. I think there's a growing like. It was like a New England Twitter victory lap when Bryce Young was announced to getting benched yesterday. See, this is why we're doing it the right way. Oh, okay. Like that's how you feel. So you don't want Drake May to play at all this year.
Right.
That's because that's basically what you're saying. And again, I don't tell people how they should feel. I just think it's important to get him some experience.
Yeah, I selfishly want to see him play because it's more exciting for us, frankly.
Well, selfishly, of course, through the
roof.
But
I'm with exactly what you just said. I just want to see him get his feet wet at some point this year so that he's not going into year 2 completely inexperienced, because I like to be positive and think upbeat that Elliott Wolf in this personnel department is going to do their jobs.
They're going to do stuff in
next
the
off season.
Right.
So they're going to have a ton of cap space. They're probably going to have a pretty high draft pick. If this offense has Will Campbell at left tackle and T. Higgins at receiver going into next season, I know that's lofty to expect all that to fall into place, but something along those lines. And now Drake May played the last 6-8 games of the season and looked okay. Now you feel like you have some hope going into next season. Yeah. Like that's where I'm at. Like, this is not the finished product of what this offense is going to look like when he's truly the entrenched starter.
I hope not.
And I've said it before too. It's that's all great stuff too. And for me, it's starting his story with the Patriots and going into, whether it's probably not, maybe going down to Miami or having to go to Buffalo and getting the experience of those games, those places he's going to have to play, like to get those out of the way. So next year it's not, all right, his first time going to Miami or his first time going to Buffalo. Like, I'd like to get those things out of the way now. Start to establish that, get his butt kicked by Buffalo. And then, he's motivated to come back and play. So as much as it's like about the playbook and understanding how game day goes and all those kind of things, for me, it's about the story too, and starting that and starting to build Drake May up as the guy who's going to dig you out of this hole.
Listen, no one said it was going to be easy, right?
But what's easy to
drink?
You know
what is? Bud Light. It's easy to drink. It's easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. And are you looking to kick off your season with some epic game day watch parties?
Maybe.
We can't because
we're here. I'm here.
Well, you could let us go.
Become a championship host with Bob's Discount Furniture's Fall Dining Lookbook. Shop party-ready styles perfect for any home, whether you're looking for small space-friendly sets, seating options that'll keep you comfy during overtime, or extendable sets ideal for hosting a full lineup of friends. You can even choose from multiple heights, shapes, and colors to match your game day vibe. So stop in and see how much you can save when you dare to compare with Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots. Travis in West Virginia writes in, I'm not normally critical of play calling, but the regular old handoff they did in the first play of overtime really annoyed me. Also, on the post-game shows, Mike has been referring to the good list as the up list. Can you please ask him to just stick to the script and stop being all California progressive about everything?
It's up, bro. That's funny. I didn't realize it. The up list. The good list.
Now it's going to be an earworm for me.
There we go. All right.
I like it.
Okay.
The up list.
I just wish we could do the good list, the bad list, and the injured list without interruption.
Oh, okay.
Just thought it would be the up,
Well,
down,
that's
the up list.
that's
the
a
down
comment for the host, right? No?
We got to the injured this week though. That was good.
We did have it. We had an injured. We had an injured list this week, unfortunately.
Yeah. Spee in Fresno, is it fair to blame the defensive miscues on the lack of offense? The staff has asked for the defense to carry the team for years. Eventually, asking so much from the defense will be too much. That said, Christian Gonzalez's coverage looks soft as a baby's bottom. Sure, he's a ballerina out there, but maybe it's time to take off the tutu and press a guy.
I guess we just see two different guys with Gonzalez, so I'll just let him have his take.
What's the rebuttal?
The tape. I'm just not really sure.
No, but
I mean,
to
if
some
you want to
people-
put the bust on him, then sure, you can put the coverage bust on him if you
Oh,
want to do
the
that.
play? No,
yeah, but
clearly that was
the rest of the game. He's on Metcalf or shadowing Metcalf all over the field, and he gives up. I think it was 3 catches for 24 yards against DK in coverage. Do you want him to press a guy that has 25 pounds on him and runs a 4.3 with the game on the line in overtime? That's the wise strategy, is to get up in his face, and then when he runs by him for a 75-yard touchdown to win the game, then we're all going to blame him for why was he so aggressive on the play. He was at a size disadvantage going up against DK, so he played more off man in this game than he has in the past, and I can totally understand why. Make him run by you. Why would you just crowd him at the line of scrimmage, let him throw you out the club, and then go up the field on you? That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. That I get he got me all riled up, but I just don't really see what the nitpicks are with Gonzalez, unless you want to sit here and say that he gave up the touchdown.
Well, I think what they
don't ever apologize for having a strong opinion about something. That's good stuff.
Well, see, now ball knowers might say what you're saying,
Yeah.
but the layperson might say, "Well, we didn't see him break up passes."
He did break up a pass.
Well, he
almost intercepted it.
He had a good play on a deep ball, but I forget the Gonzalez part of that. I just let Evan handle that, which I like that stuff. I need more of that.
I don't
please.
like.
Bring it.
I don't
Bring
like
it.
getting mad.
But the whole notion that the defense, let down by the offense. Well, the Patriots started the game. They went 3-0. Second possession, they went down the field and scored a touchdown to go 7-0. The response to that was to allow a 56-yard touchdown pass. So I'm sorry if we're not going to blame that on the offense.
There you
Okay.
go.
Now, I'm not getting into who's at fault. Clearly, the 56-yard touchdown, Gonzalez and Duggar both let the guy go. I don't know who was at fault. I don't know if it was the call.
Right.
I think I heard them say something about they weren't expecting a deep ball because they had a pressure dialed up. They felt like the ball was going to come out quicker than that. They both got caught peeking. It happens, whatever. But it wasn't to me, there's a difference between a guy running down the sideline with a guy and he's 3 steps behind and gets beat. Nobody covered him.
Right. Yeah.
They both let him go.
Right.
Now, that might have been 100% on Gonzalez, might have been 100% on Duggar.
That wasn't physical. It was mental.
But whatever, it wasn't a guy getting beat. It was
Right.
someone blowing an assignment.
Right.
Whoever's fault it was.
Right.
So I think that's different. DK Metcalf, it's a good player. It's a good player. You're not. I know that people think that it's Deion Sanders. It's not. Don't hold him to that standard. It's not fair. It's not fair to Gonzalez to say well, the other team's got a really good receiver. I'm going to expect a 0 out of him today. It's not going to happen.
Right. Tim, our friend from Duncan, he wants to know if he's the only one that thinks that if Drake May had started, we would have won that game. This game on Sunday.
Again, I don't know how other people feel.
There's just no way to know.
Well, do you think that if he had started this game, we would
And
have
every play, but does every play go the way it was? Do they call different plays? What happens?
Yeah.
If every play unfolds the way it was, I think Drake May turns it over 3 times.
Right. And a rookie,
personally,
a rookie quarterback is a roller coaster anyway.
Right.
So what were the highs? What were the lows? I mean, we all probably say he might have thrown the ball deep. He might have made one. He also might have screwed up an easy one, or
there was one that Evan talked about, and I 1,000% agree with him in the press box at the time, where Brissett kind of broke containment, rolled out to his right up toward the Patriots sideline, and he threw one on the run, I think maybe to Polk.
Polk, yep.
And he
missed
threw it
yep.
about 5 yards short.
100%.
May
Yep.
probably completes that.
Yep.
It's a first down in a low red zone, and you're probably going to get more points out of it. Instead, they had to kick a short field goal. Yeah,
Yeah.
but if every play unfolded exactly the same way, I find it awfully hard to believe that a rookie wouldn't have turned the ball over under those circumstances.
Yeah, I would just, Mike, you said it perfectly. If Drake May was playing right now, it would be a roller coaster.
Well,
like
he-
you'd have
maybe-
5 or 6 plays that I would love to
Right.
put on Twitter and be like, look at this throw. But he'd also have 3 picks.
Well, the
like,
question is, so would he have those picks, but would he also have plays?
Right, like he might have.
Right.
You remember the
Yeah.
play that Brissett had a retreat like 20 yards, and he just like desperation threw it off his back foot, and it floated, and Henry caught it while sliding to the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yep.
Might have been a touchdown if May did the same thing.
Yeah.
Might have been.
Might
now
have been.
he might also
At least
might have,
another 10 more
I'm
yards.
going to say it would have been a sack.
Yeah.
Because I don't think May would have seen the pressure coming as quickly as Brissett did.
Could be.
Again, we don't know.
How about I'll just say this: 2026 Drake May definitely would have won that game for them yesterday.
just a perfectly
From 2 years from now, he's got all the
Let's
experience.
just say this: 2026 Drake May better have won that game. Otherwise, we might be looking for a new guy.
just a perfectly timed and designed leak call on the one to Hunter Henry that
Absolutely.
I would have been pants off in the press box if
You
that
were
hit
anyway.
for a touchdown. And the fact that they just can't block anybody and it took it away from me, it just grinds my
No, but you
gears.
look at the all 22, and I mean, Hunter's out there, and it's nothing but green pastures.
If you ask the people on Twitter, the play that has been maybe one of the most indefensible plays in football for 5 years, it's a design flaw in the play. No, they just can't block anybody, okay? Because every single Sunday, the Green Bay Packers and the 49ers run that play for touchdowns every single week. But they have an offensive line and you don't. Like, that's the difference.
I love Angry Evan.
It just
this is awesome.
because they say, oh, it's a design flaw. Like, we shouldn't be asking, the puller to come across and block the guy
Is that
on
Layden
the edge.
Robinson?
Yeah,
Did he
and
get
it's
there?
like, or how about he gets there? Like, it just, I don't understand that because every other team in the league can run that play for big plays every single week, but the Patriots can't run it, so it's Alex Van Pelt's fault, and the play is poorly designed because they can't block it. Like, I just, how does that make any sense?
L from Wisconsin. Now, I know the stats are similar, but I have a way different feeling about this team versus last year, and I'll tell you why. I like this team. Last year, I was done with Bill after the Patricia decision. I also didn't like pretty much anything about Mac Jones from the moment he was drafted. It wasn't a team I wanted to root for. Now, I think there's a chance things can get back to the rails, and it makes me happy. Secondly, to all the people glad May isn't starting, I can't wait to see him in 3 years when we hopefully have the 49ers roster.
Yeah.
I don't understand why.
I don't understand any of the last part. The first part I totally understand. I think it's more likable because I think Mac Jones was not likable.
Yep.
Yeah.
I totally get that mindset.
Yeah, I didn't feel that way about Mac, but I like one of your guys, Jim Murray. That's like his big take is that they don't have the grumpy old coach and they don't have Mac Jones anymore. So just from a fan's perspective, the product is just more likable.
And I can understand, like, again, if you're telling me it's a feel, then I agree. Because I feel the same thing that you guys feel.
Yeah.
I mean, not telling you that that's right because I agree with you, but I'm saying as long as you're not talking about something tangible, because it hasn't been all that different. But if
Yeah.
you're talking about, like, I just feel better about watching this team because Pouty Mac isn't out there, bitching to his coach every other game.
Oh, Lord.
And Brissett's out there instead, like, I would agree. The fact, to me, the biggest thing is you have the 3rd overall pick. Mike, how did you put it?
Your best club's still in the bag.
Your driver's still in the bag.
Scotty Cameron's still
that's
sitting there.
huge.
It's golf.
That's mentally, to me, that makes me.
Thank you.
It has me far more engaged in this season than I was at this time last year when, it was basically the same. They were 1-1, but kind of done.
Did we ever
Or
talk
whatever.
about why, when Mac was drafted, that there wasn't any talk about, we should probably sit him for a little bit?
Because he was deemed to be NFL ready.
Okay.
That's a big part of it.
That was it. Yeah.
Plus, everybody had seen Cam Newton
No,
the
I
year
know.
before.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, if this was like, let's say that we drafted Drake May next year with the 3rd overall pick, and Brissett plays this whole year.
Oh.
I don't think there'd be as many people looking to say, let's be patient with
Okay.
Drake May.
Yeah.
Like Cam Newton had played in 2020, and everybody thought, I don't like that.
Yeah.
There was still also Bill was here, McDaniels was here. They had just spent a bunch of money in free agency on players.
Yeah.
And they still had some of that dynasty mystique on them.
Yeah. Yep.
I just feel like the roster was in a better spot.
Okay.
In general.
Fair
Or
enough.
at the very least, we're all fooling ourselves into believing it was in a better spot.
Yeah.
Given-
Well,
That's a good way of putting
they
it.
were in a better spot
Oh,
in
yeah.
21. They had just gone on that free agent spending spree, which
Right.
always gives you the immediate bump followed by the
Yeah.
drop off. And that's exactly what happened.
Johnson in Porters Lake, Nova Scotia. I'm tuning in late to the show, and I'm in agreement with Paul's take of not seeing Drake May right away. I only want to see him if the production of the offense drops and becomes hard to watch. Is that what? That's not what you said.
What?
It's
Not
not even
my-
close
not
to
my
what
take
you
at
said. No. With the continued challenges on the O-line, do you see Cole Strange immediately inserted in the starting lineup off the PUP, or will it take some time?
I don't think Michael Jordan's been okay. Like
It's
I
probably
but
been one of their most consistent
at
guys.
this point, I'll take anything. Like I'll take anyone back into the mix. Like anyone who has some kind of pedigree. I don't know what Cole Strange is going to be when he comes back, but at this point, you just need bodies along the line. That's the biggest concern.
Yeah, I would actually say Jordan. I mean, he's got his issues. Like he's doesn't have a great anchor. He's a little bit pushed around at times, but he's been pretty solid for a guy that you just signed off your practice squad. Like you don't really think much of those types of guys usually, and he's held his own.
The only thing I would say, like Jordan's not really a practice squad guy. He's a newfangled practice. He's like a 50-year guy, right?
Yeah. No,
So he's not a guy that you're necessarily developing.
Right.
He's a veteran that you stashed on the
5
practice
years
squad.
ago, he wouldn't be eligible for
Right.
the practice
Right.
squad. Brendan, do you think Drake May getting 30% of the practice reps is contributing to our poor passing attack? Less reps for Jacoby has to be affecting game day. Do you think the locker room will eventually get mad that their offense is not ready for game day due to splitting reps?
I
Not
don't
even
know,
mad.
man. I can't. I mean, if it's that much of an effect, I think it's a good thing. I think the fact that they're still continuing to focus on Drake May, again, reference Evan's piece that he wrote. I mean, he's staying active behind the scenes. That's the most important thing. Jacoby Brissett's a veteran, and I mean, and even you said, I know there's some, it's unclear exactly when these 30% reps are, but if those are on first and second down days, I don't, most of those are going to be handoffs anyways. I don't know. I just, I mean, third down, red zone, those for Thursday, Friday, those are the money down days.
Yeah.
Those are the gotta have it moments. It's the
It's
early
certainly
down
their
stuff.
base offense
Yeah.
stuff. Like they're not doing a whole lot on first and second down that they don't do every single week. Like the game plan stuff, third down, red zone, those got to have it situations. And I'm not saying that Jerod's lying when he says 30%, but if it's 30% because he took half the reps on a Wednesday and then takes like none of the reps on Thursday and Friday,
right?
That sort of thing is a little bit different when it comes to that kind of game plan stuff.
I think we're caught up in the semantics of it. I agree.
Yeah. Let's go to the TPX hotline. Eldred's in North Carolina. What's up, Eldred?
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing today?
Okay.
Hey, Eldred.
Hey, Evan, love you, man. I agree with you, too. But I've been saying that, what you said at the beginning of the show, I've been saying that for about 10 years, right, Paul? Why you let the slowest guy run the reverse or the slowest receiver go deep on a go route and you got some fast guys?
No.
I could never understand that.
Eldred, I for the life of me cannot figure out
It's the element of surprise.
What is Tyquan Thornton doing here if it's not to do stuff like that? Like, why is he on the roster if he's not going to take end arounds and run verticals and like that, do that sort of thing? Otherwise, he's just running wind sprints out there for 4 quarters. I don't get it.
Yep. All right, Eldred, thanks for the call. Let's go to Nick.
I'm getting all fired up.
What do you
in
got,
a
Mike?
second.
Mike's
No,
got
I was,
something.
I was
Mike's
just, I
got-
didn't
Mike's got a
again. I
finger
didn't get a
going.
chance to watch the film like I like to do. What was Tyquan Thornton? Like I didn't even clock him once in that game, other than when he lined up in the backfield on that.
On the fateful third
on
down
the
that got
fateful third
stopped.
down. That was the
Another
only
one
time I
that
saw him the
Belichick would
whole
have been
day.
eviscerated.
The eye candy play.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
You like the play?
I did. It just didn't. They didn't block it well on the interior, but by having Tyquan there and it's basically option football at that point, like old school wing T stuff. By having him back there, it held the backside of the formation because if everybody crashes inside, then Jacoby's just going to flip it out to him and he's going to have nothing but green grass out there. So I actually liked the fact that they added that little window dressing in there. They just didn't block it well.
What? But what did they pull back on Thornton this week, or like where? I mean, again, I have no frame of reference.
Just a couple of times, I thought he had a decent release to the line of scrimmage, but for the most part, he got blanketed.
Nick's in New Hampshire. What's up, Nick? Nick in New Hampshire. Nick. No?
Nicholas.
Going once, twice, 3 times you're gone. Matt is in Des Moines. What's up, Matt?
Hey, I just wanted to double check on the overtime on the last drive. We had a 4th and 1. Were any of you surprised that we didn't go for it because we hadn't stopped the other team in the last few drives? And so I'm just curious if that was kind of a surprise to you guys if they didn't go for it. I'll take it off air. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
I wasn't really that surprised.
I wasn't surprised. I think that's a call in overtime that basically you're making the game come down to one play. You get it and you still have a shot. You miss it, you probably ended the game from your own 39-yard line. And by the way, I would say it worked. You got a good punt. You get them at the 16-yard line. You should be able to get the ball back.
Right.
And instead they went right down the field.
Right down the field.
Yeah, it just
I
near
think
39, you're basically in field goal range without even
that's what I'm
running a
saying.
play.
The game's over.
It's a one-play game.
Yeah.
It's a one. Yeah.
And I would say, back, and I know Evan gave a lot of reasons why he liked the Tyquan Thornton in the backfield. I just think it's your identity is something that you've said ad nauseum since you took over of what you want to be. So is that the time that we're going to say, well, we're going to see if we can run this play and hold the backside end with the threat of an option pitch, or do you just want to line up and put what's on the table and tell everybody you can't stop us because this is the kind of team that we're going to be? And by the way, that was pretty successful throughout the day. Lining up and running the ball was pretty successful.
But they
you should have been able to get a yard on that
pretty
run.
much
You
did.
didn't even line up properly. It really that play annoyed me in a lot of ways.
But they really did just run it right at him. Like, it wasn't like it was like some dipsy-do run where they like had Jacoby running like a triple option out on the.
No, I know, but like it was a different formation that they've seen. They didn't even line up right. Like they screwed it up.
Yeah,
like,
that part of it's fair.
I just why are we splitting the atom? Just line up and get a yard.
They could have called your play, Paul.
1 yard in a cloud of dust.
You're every
Power I right, 22 lead.
On one.
I definitely remember Dante Scarnecchia saying more than once, if you can't pick up a yard for the game, then you're not very good on offense. Like that, that was his whole thing.
But that's the mentality you have to have. Hat on a hat, right?
I mean,
iron sharpens iron.
Hat on a hat. I'm better than you.
They ran gap. It just
I was
they didn't
disappointed.
block gap.
I was disappointed with that play.
Jack and Abba. What if the Patriots had signed quarterback Baker Mayfield last offseason and then drafted a left tackle in the first round? Wouldn't, he said, the Patriots be a vastly better team right now?
He was not available, so I don't know why we're talking about that.
Let's say they had.
This also grinds my gears.
Okay. All right.
No, it's okay. You could. It's not your fault.
So would they be a vastly
Kirk Cousins?
Would they be a vastly better team if they had Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins? I don't think so.
And a real left
I don't
tackle.
think so.
Okay.
I think they'd be better. I think both of those guys are better than Jacoby Brissett. And obviously, if you had Joe Alt instead of Vidarian Lowe playing left tackle, your line would be better. I don't think your team would be vastly superior. I think you'd still have everything else that you have.
Sorry, go ahead.
What do you
Fred,
think?
never mind.
No, wait.
No, I was going to say,
because it's a hypothetical.
I'm just confused. Was he saying
There's
in
no right
2023
answer.
we should have signed him, or
no,
this offseason?
This year you had a chance to like.
Yeah, then everything you said. Yeah.
Both of those guys were free agents.
Yeah. No, I mean, what tickled me was just, I don't know, what tickled me was that should have been the move for Bill last year, right? Like, I mean, did you think you were going to salvage Mac, like, based on how things were going after 2022? Like, I don't know, that to me,
No,
him or
I think the
Rodgers.
bigger point from Jack and Abba is, are we a quarterback and a left tackle away from being vastly better?
If your quarterback is really good, maybe you could say that. I don't think Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield are in that stratosphere.
Okay.
I think they're both middlers.
Okay.
Now, you want to give me Chris Godwin and Mike Evans with Baker Mayfield? That's a different story. But he's still throwing to DeMario Douglas, Tyquan Thornton, and KJ Osborne.
Okay. Rick in Newburyport, 30 years ago today, Drew Bledsoe had his shoulder separated by Ken Norton Jr. in San Francisco, and on that same day, Patrick Mahomes was born. So,
Okay.
there you go. Don't say you never learned anything. From
30
this
years
show.
ago. 94?
93.
How much time did he miss on that one?
Oh, wait a minute. It was
Not-
94. No, 93. He
just said
separated
30
his shoulder,
years?
right?
I was very confused. I thought we were talking
Or
about
was it 90?
2001. I was like, where?
95.
He did what?
So it's 29.
Nicholas in Oslo, Norway.
I'm a little upset with myself. I don't remember.
Okay. What do you think, Drew?
I thought he hurt his shoulder in 95.
30 years ago today would be
94.
It would have to be 94.
But I don't think he got hurt in 94.
Okay, maybe Rick in Newburyport. Check your math.
I think he played all 16 games in 94, threw for
Evan's
4,555
like,
yards.
I could be watching all 22. what am I doing here?
He threw
What
for
am I
about
doing here?
4,555 yards. that year.
Valuable all 22 time going down the drain.
Well, poor Mike, he can't even watch
I
it.
couldn't watch it, Fred.
I'll get you situated. Just
He
No,
couldn't. He wasn't.
bear to watch it?
No, it wasn't. wasn't available.
No, I like to watch it, but I'm not as good as
like to
Paul.
watch.
Paul can watch the whole game and he remembers everything. Like
know,
I watch it,
I
it's
know.
all out one ear out
And
the
I
other.
don't
have
know
a
why I get
photographic
mocked.
memory.
I don't know why I get
No,
mocked
you
and
have- you
ridiculed for
remember
it.
No, do you
things.
have a photographic memory?
No, I don't think so.
No?
But maybe, I don't know. Maybe I do.
Maybe
I don't
you
really
do.
know the definition of that.
Like you can look at something and remember it.
But like everything? No.
Yeah.
But he's watching this is not a shot. Like it's just a different way of watching the game. Like like you're great at seeing the game. I'm great at seeing like leak, right? like you know, and like
Well, there's
that's
a difference
what
between being great at something and not caring about it. I
But-
would fall into the latter category.
Yeah, but that's like that's why I lean on
am
you
I
for
great
these
at
types of
anything?
things. Yeah, I think you're
Cheerleading.
No, you're in the same category as him.
I don't see it like he does.
No, but when
There's
we're
no-
on the road together, like you'll point out things that like my brain is like lost in like what freaking run scheme they're
Yeah,
running, and like you'll just say to
I'll
me
go-
like,
Oh,
And
he
that
just
is-
went to the locker room.
Yeah.
That's what I'm good
No,
for.
I was
no,
like,
but
oh,
it's
what?
like, and I
got new
tease
socks
Evan. Like but I you know, I do it out of love. He's interested in
Yeah.
the schematics of plays, and I'm just telling you, that guy's a good player, and he won that battle, he won that matchup or whatever, and I want this guy on my team because he's better than that guy. And I'm just telling you what worked
He's
and
in
what
the
didn't
weeds
work.
and you're in the
and
trees.
Evan's telling you why.
Yeah.
You like
Yeah,
that?
I like that. That was pretty good. That was pretty
So there, I mean, there's a difference. There is a difference.
I
there.
need the Paul. Like Trags was that for me at the beginning, and someone that brings me back to see the forest for the trees is important because when you're in the weeds, you lose it.
There's
sometimes.
no all 22 version of Paul with penalties and situational football. Like those are you're good at those.
Like I didn't like the decision to decline that penalty and set up a 3rd and 6 instead of a 2nd and 13.
I
said it at the
I had to
time.
like do the math in my head real quick. I'm like,
Right?
what was that one?
The
again?
best
But,
was that it was announced as a 3rd and 8, and Paul's yelling, "It's
No,
3rd
it's
and
3rd and
6.
6.
It's 3rd and 6."
Oh, well, even
Don't
I
you
knew
think-
that.
But don't you think there's a difference there? Like 3rd and 6 is very manageable. 3rd and 8's 3rd and long
I'm
to
just
me.
trying to. I'm like,
No,
what
you're
zone
absolutely
were
right.
they
That
running
happened.
balls on?
No, that
no,
happened.
and then they were gonna kick it. Like, and to me, it's just like
And I'll
words
tell you
coming
what else.
at me.
I'll tell you what else bothered me about that. And this is not. This is not about the Patriots. This is about the officials, which is my favorite thing to make fun of. Why are they just automatically saying that they took the penalty? Like
Right.
you got to ask.
Yeah, right.
Right. Because then they came back on later. They had to respot the ball, and then no.
Oh, yeah.
The Patriots have opted to decline the penalty. Well, maybe ask next time.
Well, you like it when you see the ref look at the sidelines. You're like, they give that little
Well, I don't mind if you do that, but don't announce the penalty, mark
And then-
the yardage off, then go check with the coach and see if he
Right,
wants it,
right.
which is what happened.
All right, one more call, then we're going
3rd
to
and
call it a
6.
show.
3rd and 6.
It's Melvin in Texas. What's up, Melvin?
Hey, so correct me if I'm wrong because I'm out of market, so I didn't see the game, but I heard the caster say that Baker had lined up, and I was just wondering how did Baker create any separation when he was in, and also how did Caden Wallace do the little bit of time that he was in? Thank you, and I'll take it off here.
Okay, thanks, Melvin.
Javon Baker played like a small handful of snaps that I would not. I think he ran like 2 routes.
I was going to say, I think they ran the ball. For the
Yeah.
I think he played 6 plays, and
Yeah.
I think most
Yeah.
of those were runs.
And
Yeah.
my take with Wallace is I thought he did pretty well when he was in as that extra lineman.
That's another
but,
one. He played,
but-
5 plays?
Yeah, but he did well, but I don't think he did well when he had to come in after Lowe came out.
So they clearly trust him to run block. That's why he's the tackle eligible, or they call it a muscle tight end.
Muscle tight.
Muscle tight end.
Muscle tight.
Muscle
Yeah.
tight.
But they don't trust him. yet
Andy
to
Hart
pass
was the
pro.
muscle tight end.
Yeah.
Why can't we just call him an eligible tackle? That's what he was.
Oh,
Well,
muscle tight.
I heard muscle tight end and I liked it, so
Okay,
I'm
muscle
sticking
tight
with
end.
that.
But he didn't. Yeah, I mean, part of it was the way the game unfolded. They didn't get to do it as much as they did.
Yeah.
He played 11 plays, but some of those were as a left tackle.
Yeah.
So
Like 2.
maybe 8.
Yeah.
You get a big
Snaps.
dose of them Thursday night, I bet.
Yeah, this could be his coming out party.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
here
something.
for it.
Coming out
I'm not
something.
real
We'll
confident
see.
in that.
All right, that's going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. And we'll have to do picks tomorrow because of the Thursday game and team traveling. So we
If you
won't have
care, we're going to do it a little earlier in the show than we normally do because Evan and Fred need to jet.
Catch 22 this week.
4 to 6 today.
4 to 6 today.
Yeah, a couple
4 to
hours.
6 today.
So don't go nowhere,
Right. Keep the stream going.
especially you ball knowers.
All right.
Stick around.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original